in, everybody. It is a very exciting refresh day. I am obsessed with the shop this week. This is awesome. We finally got this new bundle that was revealed a while back. Pairs really nicely with the Moonstone Bundle House. And my favorite two items in the shop would have to be this little solar-powered wind farm pond situation, because it has a very good Eastern vibe, and you guys know how much I'm obsessed with items like that. And we got the Shiba Inu, one of my favorite dog breeds. I love this little guy, and it actually has a great pose, too. Like, with a lot of the dog poses, you know, you do, like, the little holding poses, but I like this one, I like this one. And he's so cute. He's so cute. He really fits my valley and my vibe, so I really love this little guy. Very exciting. So, as you guys are likely aware, on refresh day, we follow a little bit of an agenda here. Yeah, that's correct, Ems. What I'm saying is, so, for the Shiba Inu pose, he gets a unique pose compared to the other puppers, right? And Nala is a very expensive companion because she's a, Nala, and also, I think Nala has, doesn't Nala have two poses? But Nala is a unique companion, which means she costs 3,000 moonstones. So this gives you access to the Nala pose for the cost of only, I believe, 2,000 moonstones, whereas all the other 2,000 moonstone dogs just give you the little holding pose, which I don't really like too much. Because the Shiba Inu is a little bit bigger, so it's pretty nice that we get this one in its place. So it's a more unique pose because it's a lot more rare. So unique, when I say unique, I don't mean it's one of a kind. I mean, it's just, you know, it's not the standard dog pose we see over and over and over and over. So now if you want to use the Nana pose, you don't, Nana's not the only option. You can do it with the Shiba Inu, which is, I think, really, really nice. So that's what I'm saying. I thought that was pretty clear with what I said, but I will, I'll just kind of, I guess, explain it thoroughly for you guys. Thoroughly. So yeah, when it comes to the Nana pose, I mean, you know, it is a very unique pose, and it only exists on Nana. Whereas if we look at the other dogs, you know, Lucky has the same pose as the Husky, and then I think as the Corgi, and I don't have the Wiener Dog, but probably the same for the Wiener Dog. And I think even for Percy, I can't remember. But yeah, a lot of the same pose over and over with the dogs, but since the Shiba Inu is a little bit bigger, we get our second Nana pose, which is really nice. So now if you want to do this pose with a dog, you don't have to use Nana. And also the Shiba Inu is a good bit smaller than Nana, so it's not going to be as obstructive in the scene if you did want to show the dog while doing the pose, which makes it one of a kind. Because you'll do the same stance that you do with Nana, but you'll have a smaller dog if you want to show the dog. Samurai, this said, yeah, the Wiener Dog, is he holding him up? Terrible for a Dutch Hound's back. Yeah, I wish more pets had, like, different poses, to be honest. I wish we could, like, cycle through a few options. That would be very nice. Saba said, hey, Senpai, thank you so much for all your tips and tricks. I ranked 5 this week, watching all your videos every week. My snap was the muted green one in the top 3 submissions. I went from getting 600 to 1,500 to getting 4K consistently. Watching you, thank you again. Dang, dude, you went from getting 600 to 1,500 to landing in the top 5? That's actually crazy. That's actually crazy. Well done, my friend. Well done. I'm glad I was able to be of service. How's Coco? She's very energetic. I would probably have been live a lot earlier if she wasn't all over my keyboard. But she's kind of chilling out now a little bit. She's kind of chilling. Dindy said we're going to semi-snap. We make a Facebook post every week, Dindy, and on that Facebook post, we'll scroll through and talk about the snaps and their results, but just if you do share there, be sure to share your rank as well, because we take that in consideration while reviewing these snaps and talking about, you know, talking about performance and everything else. Murphet says, gorgeous snap, amazing. I hope you're not talking about this. This is not a Dreamsnap. This is just me showing some of the new premium stuff. This is just, you know, this is just for the stream. This is like I threw down some premium stuff for the stream. If this were a Dreamsnap, it would definitely not have so much emptiness and the space behind it. But this new stuff is beautiful, for sure. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. So on the agenda today, what we're going to be doing, the first thing we're going to knock out today is we are going to discuss Dreamsnap results. No, I'm at the top 5 snap. Oh, just at them if you're speaking to them. If you don't at somebody, you're speaking to me. That's how the chat will always be there. So yeah, if you're responding to somebody in chat, guys, it'll be a lot. We'll have really good communication if you just type at and then their name. That way I'll never assume you're speaking to me, because if there is no at, I assume you're talking directly to me. Catter said, not sure what I'm buying yet. Vox says Pokopia. Yeah, the new update is out. Very exciting, very exciting. I don't know what your question is. You just type Pokopia with 3 question marks. What are you asking? Are you asking if I'm going to be playing it? I mean, I would love to. But are we going to play? When? Today? Probably not. I would love to, but I still got to make my Dreamsnap guide for Thursday. And with this new kitten all over my studio, it's going to be really hard to do. So it is imperative that we make example snaps today. It is imperative that we do that. Even still, the guide for this week's Dreamsnap challenge might not come out until Friday, just because this little one is going to make it very difficult to record in here. But yeah, I definitely want to play Pokopia sometime this week. I don't think we'll get time today, though. I don't think we'll have time. I would love to, but it's just not likely that we'll have a chance. Because we need, on the agenda, as I was saying, we need to discuss Dreamsnap results. That's how we know what does well. That's how we build on the advice that we give. Once we discuss your Dreamsnaps, your results, and go through what performed well, we will take a deeper dive into the premium shop. We'll, take a close look at some of these items. We'll take a close look at how much they cost from Scrooge if you want additionals. And then once that is done, we need to build some example scenes for this week's challenge. Hopefully 2. I would like to do 1 budget option that's not using this new premium stuff for players that don't have the Moonstones to pick up these items. And then I would also like to do 1 premium option item. Not because... And guys, I gotta say something to you guys. I don't know why, but every single week, without fail, I don't think there's ever been a week where this didn't happen. Every week, when you guys share your Dreamsnap results on my Facebook post, I always get a handful of people saying, I'm so shocked that I got 4K because I didn't use the new premium items. I wasn't expecting 4K because I didn't use the new premium items. When will you believe me, guys? When will you trust me on the fact that you do not need to use the premium items? I say this 100 times a week, and yet every week there's like a ton of people that are like, oh my God, how did this happen? I didn't use the premium items and I got 4K. What in the world? I can't believe it. My mind is blown. Even though Senpai says that every week for over a year, 100 times a week. What? Guys, please just believe me. You do not have to use the premium stuff. The reason people use the premium stuff is not because you have to do it to get 4K. Players just like decorating with new items. That's it. People get new stuff and they're excited to use it. They're excited to wear it. They're excited to place it. That's all that is, guys. A bunch of people didn't use the jungle stuff because it was the only way to get 4K. Far from it. Very far from it. As long as you do the theme, guys, as long as you do the theme, you have some strong elements in your snap, like good lighting, good composition, you have some storytelling, you have a great outfit, whatever it may be, you will have a prime shot at 4K, and you can actually easily outrank people using the premium stuff. It all comes down to how you design your scene. But every week, without fail, every single week, I get tons of comments. People are like, oh, I can't believe I got 4K. I didn't use the premium stuff. What? Guys, when will you believe it? When will you believe it that it's not necessary? You should never buy premium stuff just for a Dreamsnap challenge. You should never buy it just for that. Only buy the new stuff if you're excited to use it, if it fits your vibe. You know, like, I didn't get the new castle bundle this week because it doesn't fit my vibe. I don't really need it. And I don't think I'm going to need it for last week's Dreamsnap challenge, right? You don't need these things. If you want them, by all means, pick them up. But just like for this week, you know, you don't need this little solar panel. You don't need these little windmills. You don't need this, like, green eco house system. You don't need any of this stuff. There are some really great ways you can sell this theme without any of these items. So that's why we do budget builds and regular builds. But I want you guys to really believe that. I know a lot of you guys do. I would say probably like 80% of you guys fully understand that premium items are entirely unnecessary when it comes to getting 4K. It all comes down to the thought you put into your snap. As long as you put thought, not time, you don't have to put 10 hours into your snap for it to get 4K. You just have to strategize. You know, how can I communicate this theme well? How can I slap the voter across the face with the theme? How can I make my theme so strong that even the pickiest voter will not be able to find a problem where I'm not on theme? And then if you master things like lighting and composition and good foreground and storytelling, you're pretty much locked in for 4K at that point, because a majority of players don't do that. And, you know, if 96% of players aren't doing that and you do end up doing it, you have a very, very, very high likelihood of 4K. So, yeah, you know, one of these weeks, I'll stop seeing those comments, but it probably won't be next week or the week after that. Maybe another year of me saying you don't need to use the premium items to get 4K will have people kind of thinking, well, maybe he's right. Maybe. I mean, we've only seen proof of this for the past 2.5 years. Maybe another year of proof will have me kind of thinking it might be true. So, you know, I'm just giving you guys a hard time, but still, you know, I just want you guys to know, if you're in a Moonstone pinch and you're like, oh no, I'm going to fail this week's challenge because I can't get this like 4,400 Moonstone bundle. Oh, woe is me. I'm in trouble. Whatever will I do? Don't worry. We've never needed the premium stuff to get 4K. There are ways to approach and address pretty much every theme, every challenge. All you have to do is strategize. You got to think about how you're going to set up your scene. You got great options. So just wanted to put that out there for the non-believers. Real quick, shout out to Bell B, first bits of the day. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the beautiful 300 bits. Very kind of you, Max. Thank you for the bits as well. Life Shark, thank you for the 200. Thank you. Finally got the outfit you're wearing. I'm so happy. Yeah, dude. To get the hairstyle as well. Oh, wait, was the hairstyle in there? I didn't even notice that. Oh, dude, that's huge. That's huge. Fallen Angel, thank you for the 100 bits as well. Jennifer, thank you for the 100 bits too. Yeah, did they put the hairstyle in there? That's hype. Yeah, this shop is awesome. Shop is awesome this week if you got the Moonies, guys. Oh, yeah. Dude, it has the... Oh, you guys have been... So many of you guys have asked me so many questions about this hairstyle. If you have the Moonstones, do not pass on this. This is one of the most beautiful hairstyles in the game. So even if you're not vibing with the outfits, let me show you what's so good about this hairstyle. When you change the color, one color changes the hair itself, and the other color changes the flower and the beads. So we made these beads match the earrings, along with the flower and along with the eyeshadow. And that all matches the bluebird fit, right? So every time I use this hairstyle in Dreamsnap, every single time I've used this, I always get people asking, where did you get that hairstyle? How do I get it? And then I tell them, well, it's a STARPATH item. It's an old STARPATH item. It'll come through the shop eventually. Just keep your eye open for it. So guys, if you don't have this, I think it's truly worth it. I think this hairstyle has really good Dreamsnap utility. And not only do you get the hairstyle, but for $17.50, you're going to get this little face paint. You're going to get this little cherry blossom backpack, the beaded teal backpack, and you're going to get these two Hanfus. So some really, really good items in here. But, I mean, the hairstyle alone, this alone makes the entire purchase, I think, worth it. It's just such a great hairstyle. It's so beautiful. So, yeah, I didn't even notice it was in there. When I was scrolling through, I just saw this, and I didn't, let it play, so I'm glad you mentioned the hairstyles in there. Yeah, because that's a good public service announcement. Don't pass on this. If you've been wanting this hairstyle, now's your chance. And if you don't have the Moonstones, maybe pin this. Because, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Very cool that they finally brought that back. Sav said, yeah, I've been wanting that hairstyle for so long. All right. I haven't placed a little boat yet. But yeah, I really like the new stuff. Looking real cool. And it says, when you review the premium shop, can you also mention whether they have good Dreamsnap utility? Always wait to buy until I see your review of them. Well, when it comes to Dreamsnap utility, M's, that's something I tend to always mention when we talk about items. But the items that are going to have the best Dreamsnap utility, right? The items that are just going to far exceed anything else are visual effect items. So fireflies, fireworks, confetti cannons, the Aurora Borealis, right? The pyro boxes, the bubble machines. Items that add visual effects, smoke bombs, for example. You don't need me to tell you that those items have great Dreamsnap utility. Like, extremely high Dreamsnap utility. Now, when it comes to your standard items, right? I already just explained why this hair has great Dreamsnap utility. We just talked about that. Because it's got a really unique customization aspect that gives it very strong Dreamsnap utility. Be the fact that you can change the lotus blooms color in your hair and change the color of the beads makes it to where you can really tie this hair into your outfit, makeup, or design of your snap. Now, for everything else, like houses and building kits and boats and windmills, these fall in the same category as far as Dreamsnap utility as all the other decor in the game. That's all that is. This is no more important than any other item. It'll work really well for certain challenges, right? Look at the style of the building. It's very nature-centric. It's very earthy. And it has sort of a futuristic feel to it as well. So for any kind of challenge that nods towards futuristic, nature, going green, things like that, then these would have utility. But outside of that, it just depends on the theme. So just like every other piece of decor ever that comes through the premium shop, it's got kind of the same utility as every other premium house, every other item. When it comes to Dreamsnap utility, like I stated, it's really more about the items that are going to be foundations in a vast majority of snaps, right? Items you can use in almost every snap. So think about things like fireflies, right? How many snaps do you see with fireflies? A lot. You see a lot of snaps with fireflies. So they work in an exceptionally wide range of Dreamsnap themes. Those are the items that have extremely high utility. Same thing with smoke bombs. These smoke bombs can be used to create fog effects. They can be used to create party effects. They can be used to create spooky effects. So what gives an item a very high level of Dreamsnap utility would be its versatility, right? The more versatile an item is, the more utility it has. So this week, there isn't really much in the shop that has exceptionally high Dreamsnap utility. So when it comes to whether or not you should purchase this stuff, it's more about, do I like the way it looks? Do I like the vibe? Like something like this hot spring pond, this can be really good for Eastern builds, like if you're doing like a little Mulan-centric kind of build, or any kind of build about green energy because it has windmills and solar panels. So an item like this is going to have specific utility, but it's not like the fireflies. Whereas you can kind of put the fireflies into any Dreamsnap, this is not going to work in certain settings. So that's how the premium shop is by default. That's how most items in the game are going to be. So we don't really need to discuss Dreamsnap utility unless an item does have very high utility. There's no point in me saying this has regular utility, this has regular utility, this has regular utility. It's just kind of a waste of time because you guys can figure that out on your own because these are very specific items. So don't worry. Anytime there is an item in the shop that has very high utility, I will always let you know, like we just did with this hair. Otherwise, just assume it has standard utility, guys. It's just standard, you know, like these towers aren't necessarily going to work in every type of build, but they can be good in certain themes, certain constructions. Nice and tall, so it could be a good backdrop item. All kinds of ways to use it, but it's not like fireflies or fireworks or the aurora or these other high utility items. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. Because my goal would be for you guys to be well equipped to decide on your own, or at least know what's going to have good utility versus what's not going to have good utility. So my recommendation to you is to prioritize items that can work in a vast majority of themes, like the fireflies, like fireworks, like smoke bombs, things that can be used for special effects, things that can be used for filler, things that can be used for storytelling. Those are the items you should prioritize if you're very Dreamsnap-centric or Dreamsnap-focused. Okay. With that out of the way, now, you know, for anybody that's curious about Dreamsnap utility, you should now have the knowledge and insight to make those kind of judgments on your own. But if you're, you know, if you're ever unsure, like, I think this is what Senpai's talking about utility. Like, I think this item has that, but I'm not 100% certain. Feel free to ask. You know, you can get like a special, like maybe a bubble machine shows up in your shop, and you're like, is this what Senpai means by utility? Feel free to let me know in chat, and I'll give you a little answer there. Can you interact with the boat from the new set, please? Yeah, once I place it. Rope, thank you for the hundo. Oh, back-to-back hundos. Thank you, Rope. Thank you. I do have some water here. Babbitt said I braved it, submitted my float pick. Nice. I feel like it'll do well. I was up pretty late working on mine because I didn't get to work on it until, you know, after the stream, after everything was done. But I'm really happy. I love the way it came out. I really love the way my snap came out at the end of the day. This is my final submission for the Summer Street Festival. I love the headpiece with like the coral. I think it plays up the summer vibes really well. And look at my, what do you guys think my favorite feature in this entire photo is? I think it's probably going to be pretty obvious. I told you guys, as soon as I get this freaking kitty cat, it's going to be in all my shots. But yeah, I got the Calico Kitty right at the front doing a little dance. And I was very specific with my villagers. So if you look at who we have Summer Stitch, Summer Scrooge, and Summer Merlin all surrounding the avatar. And then we have some small villagers and a small companion right here. So Lady, the Calico Kitty, and Timon. Then we have Magician Mickey interacting with the Pawsicles. He's like, oh boy, a cold treat. I'm going to steal all these and not pay for them, huh? And then we have Moana kind of celebrating and jumping up here. So she's very oceanic. We have Minnie jumping up here in her mermaid outfit, which fits with the summer vibe. Joy, because the challenge said to bring the joy, and her dress works really well for the summer. We have Ariel, another ocean villager in a sleeveless dress, and then, of course, in the background, because he's very large, we have Maui. So, like, every single villager here was very intentional. I had more villagers on... Oh, and we have Mushu, too. I don't know if you can notice him. He's right there. He's peeking out from behind my booty. But yeah, I really like the way the outfit came together. I gave the avatar a really tan complexion. I gave her the seaweed bracelet, the gold shell necklace, some face paint for the festival vibes. the coral Mickey ears, the summer shorts, and the pink palm leaf top. Moana boats kind of in the background. And I did so many of these shots last night. It was just really hard to get the kitty cat dancing right where I wanted it. And what's really fun, though, is I actually was using the corgi and the cat. Sadly, I just weren't... I didn't... I would have been up way too late if I tried to get both of them. Like, you see how they are here? I did this as an example shot, but I didn't have all the villagers in yet. But this is what I actually wanted, was like the kitty and the corgi. But I wasn't able to get it, sadly. I got some good shots with, like, you know, the kitty. And then I had a really great shot with the corgi. I really wanted both, but it just didn't work out that way. So this was the best one I got because he was doing this little kitty dance. And the fireworks were also the best in this one. Whereas in some of these, I was trying to not have the big light flares. So it was just like a lot of trial and error to get the shot that I kind of wanted here. But if I had the corgi right here, that would have been awesome. But I like the way it came together. You know, it ended up being pretty nice at the end of the day. Yeah, Tatted Galaxy, one of the features I want to see the most, one of the features I am desperate to see in this game, would be pets and companions added to the villager toggle. So, like, if they were to just add an extra section here, where we can also, you know, place pets and have them do their little dancing celebration and have them do their little eating celebration. There's so many different ways you could utilize them. I think it could be super fun. I think eventually we will see something like that. With how successful the villager toggle has been, with how much people seem to love that feature, I would not really be surprised at all if they were to add in some kind of feature that works with companions. So I'm hoping. Lisa said, I lost my 9-week 4K streak this week. I saw that, Lisa, and that's very unfortunate because your snap was actually very good. There are a lot of snaps in the 4K range that were just like yours. They were very strong. And we talked about this, the exact same thing happened with BG Bliss, you guys. If you remember, so LOTR, another member of this community who is pretty much always getting 4K, and she's been in the top 100 multiple times. I think for her lazy cozy day, she was like ranked 50 or something. She does really good, but on BG Bliss, even though her snap, I think it was LOTR, I could be wrong. Even though her snap was just as strong as a lot of the other snaps we saw, it ended up getting under 4K. But I could be wrong about it being LOTR. It could have been somebody else. This happens each week. There are going to be snaps that deserve 4K that don't get it. That just means you likely popped up against a lot of really heavy hitters. You popped up against some really good snaps, and it just made it harder to secure those votes. But that's not all that's happening. You see, the 4K bracket, the number of people that got 4K for this result was actually smaller than normal. Usually, if you get around rank 8,000, you're in the 4K range. So why is it that this week, people in the, you know, back end of 7,000s and early 8,000s, why aren't they getting 4K? And that's because this challenge took place at right before a new update. And what you have to remember is that that's the hardest week to get 4K a lot of the time. Whereas the week of a new update is the easiest week to get 4K. So for your summer street festivals, this is going to be one of the easiest weeks to get 4K. It's always like that. And the reason why is because there are way more submissions when a new update comes out. There's way more players. There's way more voters. But on the back end of an update, like a week before the new update comes out, everybody's already finished their STARPATH. Everybody's got the new characters. A lot of people are taking a break. A lot of people are taking a step back. They're playing other games while they wait for the next big thing. And because of that, you have less submissions, you have less voters, and some snaps are not going to really get what they deserve when that happens. So for some people, they just won't get enough voters. They won't get, they won't get the results that they would normally have received. Because even for you, Lisa, the rank you got, if it was any other week, that rank would have been worth 4K because you ranked around 8,000. So you got 2,500. But if this was this week, you could probably rank 9,000 for Street Summer Festival and still get 4K because there's going to be a bigger range. Well, it's still 4.5%, but with way more submissions, it gives you more flexibility, That's just how it goes sometimes. So like I mentioned on your Facebook post about the results, don't be too hard on yourself, my friend. It could happen to me. It could happen to anybody here. There are just going to be weeks where you popped up against some really, really strong snaps. And there, especially on the back end of an update, there's going to be weeks where there just might not be enough votes to go around for everybody. There's going to be less submissions, so the 4K bracket is reduced, and those can sometimes be the hardest week to keep your streak. Other people may be more fortunate. They can pop up against selfies and quest photos, and they can end up getting 4K with something they never expected to get 4K. Could be a photo they put together in 15 minutes with minimal thought, minimal effort, and they wake up to find themselves at rank 5,000. It all comes down to what you pop up against and what kind of voters you get, and the fact that you do get voters in the first place. Fortunately for my snap here, I felt like this was guaranteed for 4K. I felt extremely confident with this because I feel like even if this does pop up against really good snaps, it's going to be a great contender. I think, if this does pop up against something really, really good, I still believe the voter would have to stop and think about which one to choose. And I think that's why it ended up getting ranked 200. Could have been higher, could have been lower. Just depends on, how many times my picture shows up, what I show up against. Which is why, when I've been in the top 3, I never look at it as if my photo is the second best in the entire world. Because being in the top 3 doesn't mean that. All that means is you got more votes. You won more of your 1v1 matchups, and you got more votes. But in Dreamsnaps, it's not all of us versus each other. It's not you versus all the other snaps. It's you versus one person at a time in these 1v1 scenarios. And depending on your matchups, you could end up in the top 5. And that's the way I look at it. Even when I've been in the top 5, I just got fortunate, I think I made really good snaps on those occasions. Same with the snaps I've done that have been in the top 10, top 20, top 50, top 100, and top 1,000. It all comes down to what you pop up against. And that's why sometimes snaps that really did deserve 4K end up not getting it. They'll be in the high range of 2,500 or the high range of 1,500. And then sometimes snaps that you're kind of confused about being in 4K, where you're like, how did Lisa's snap get 2,500, yet this snap, which is like the same concept, but more empty and without good lighting, how did that one get 4K and hers didn't? Well, that's just the nature of snaps. That's the nature of this 1v1 scenario here. So, that's why I always tell people when it comes to aiming for good results, don't focus too much on the number. Like, if you land in the top 5, great, hooray, awesome, congratulations, but don't stress it. It'll happen if it happens. It's just like one of those things, you can't make it happen. And every time I've been in the top 20, I just didn't expect it for that week. I just thought it was kind of a, just like, oh, I'll get 4K for this, but I wasn't expecting to wake up and have a snap in the top 3, right? It's just like one of those things where like, oh, okay, cool. And it can happen any week. Any week it can happen. If you make a strong snap, you pop up against the right things, you can end up being very surprised about where you land. This is also why when we look at snaps, when we look at results, so that we can better determine what players can do to give themselves the best shot at 4K, that's why we look at the averages. You don't just want to look at the top 3. You don't just want to look at the top 10 or the top 100, because some things can get in there that aren't as popular. It's really about looking at what we see on average. What kind of strategies are being used with most of the 4K snaps? Things like being close to the avatar, things like storytelling. It doesn't mean you have to do jungle for this. There's plenty of snaps that didn't do jungle. Like I said, you don't need the new premium shop stuff to get 4K. But what you do see, whether it's a jungle snap or it's a sword in the stone snap or something else, what you do genuinely see throughout most of these 4K submissions is strong storytelling, strong lighting, good colors, good scene visibility. The same things we see every week, week after week after week. And that's what you want to look at, is what you're seeing on average. You don't want to just pick a random photo out of the whole 4K range and say, well, that got 4K. That means that's what voters like. For all you know, that photo that you're looking at popped up against 1,000 selfies, and that's why it's there, right? You never know. You never know. That's why it's a great idea to look at the averages. The bigger your data set, the more accurate your data, right? And when I do give Dreamsnap advice, as you guys know, it's never about my opinion. It's not about what I like or what I think a photo should look like. It's about what people are choosing en masse. What keeps happening? What do we keep seeing in 4K? And remember, even if you do these things, you still might not get 4K sometimes. If you made a beautiful snap that truly deserved 4K and you missed out, I know that can be frustrating, but just remember, always remember, there's some crazy talented people out there. There are a lot of people making snaps that are phenomenally good at it. You're not going to pop up against these people every week, but occasionally you might make a really strong snap, and if it would have popped up against anything else, it would have likely been a guaranteed 4K. Whereas on certain weeks, you just pop up against the worst case scenarios where it's like they have more storytelling, they have more depth of field, they have greater scene visibility, they have bolder colors, or they have certain things the voter likes more or is more drawn to than the concept you did. So, that's something you can't really control. So at the end of the day, make a snap you're proud of. Make a snap you're happy with. Do your best to make the theme very clear. And if you do everything very well, it can still be disappointing to not get 4K, but you'll still be proud of your work. And you likely wouldn't take it back because you love what you made, right? Sabsy said, did I miss anything about the super vote being changed? Yeah, they took it out of the patch notes. Sabsy, it'll likely come with the next update. Likely going to come with the next update. Aria, congratulations, my friend. I got my first 4K this week. That's so cool, Aria. Not only did you get your first 4K Dream Snap, but your first time in 4K is in the top 1,000. That's pretty cool. You went from never being in the 4K range to being in the top 1,000 of all Dream Snaps. Great job. Great job. Miss Cray, hello. Welcome in. My darling Mandarin said, thanks to your lighting tips, I ranked in 654 and 652. Wait, did you do snaps on 2 separate accounts and they ranked within 2 ranks of each other? That's crazy. Wait, so you got ranked 654. Are you talking about on the same challenge, or are you talking about the past 2 weeks in a row? Even if it's the past 2 weeks in a row, that's pretty crazy that you ranked almost the exact same on these 2 snaps. That's impressive. That's impressive. Very cool. Very cool. Frozen said, that's gorgeous. Love your snap. Thank you. I really enjoyed making this one. I think it's one of my favorite challenges in recent memory. I actually used, for this spiderweb effect, I used the Halloween tree. The one with the jack-o'-lanterns, but I put it on the edge so you can't see the jack-o'-lanterns. And I used Flynn's angry pose, so it looks like he's stuck. And then Timon looks super worried. Yo, let's go! Sari Bear, thank you. Thank you very much, my friend. That is incredibly helpful. Something we're working on that's going to be a very big deal. It's going to make a big difference in my content and in my just general life. We are fighting right now to get back into the Partner Plus Level 2 program. We were in there last year, but then we fell under the 300 and they kicked us out. So now we're in Partner Plus Level 1. If we get back into Partner Plus Level 2, Twitch will give me 70% of my sub revenue. Right now, they only give me 60%. So Twitch at the moment is taking 40% of all of my subscriptions. I would really love for that number to go down to 30%. But in order to do that, we have to hit 300 sub points. As you can see here, we have 103 out of 300 for the month of August. And we're only on the 5th day of the month. So we have another 25 days to get the other points. Now, we only need 300, but we have to hit 300 sub points for August, September, and October to get back into Plus Level 2. Unfortunately, as you can see here, we have way over the 300. We actually have 857 sub points. So we have almost 3 times the necessary points.
Senpai, notice me.
But they don't count most of these. So Twitch, oh my god, thank you, Sari. Sari with the 500 as well. Let's go. Much appreciated. Dang, the 3 months advance and the 500 bits. What a gem. Thank you. Y'all drop some love for Sari Bear. That is so kind. That is so kind. Thank you, my friend. So with this, we're at almost 900 sub points. But the reason most of these don't count is because Twitch doesn't count any gifted subs or any Prime subs. So the only way for us to get into the Partner Plus program is recurring subs. So Tier 1 subs are worth 1 point, Tier 2 subs are worth 2 points, and Tier 3 subs are worth 6 points. Vox says, is there a Level 3? No. Partner Plus Level 2 is the highest level possible for any Twitch partner. And we were already there last year. So we've done it before, so I feel confident we'll do it again. But yeah, thank you. I just wanted to let you know why that was so helpful there, Sari. And even normally, you know, just normally becoming a supporter is going to be super helpful. But especially this month and next month in October. So thank you very, very, very much. And for those of you that are on Prime subs, I don't want you to feel like you have to switch over to a recurring, even if Twitch doesn't count them. That's a Twitch thing. It's not a you thing. So if you like using your Prime sub, by all means, keep using it. If you did want to switch, you could always switch for just August, September, and October, and then go right back to using your Prime sub if you wanted to. But it's not expected of you, okay? The Prime subs, whether or not they count, is irrelevant. I still look at them as a real blessing because you can give those Prime subs to anybody. So anytime somebody gives one to me, it's just really appreciated. So thank you, guys. Thank you. So yeah, lots of storytelling elements in this particular snap. I like Pumbaa being super worried about Flynn, who's stuck in the spider web. I love the way the smoke rolls across Sully as he comes out of the fog. I like Jafar here. And then I really like Gaston facing off with Scar and like the hyena den in the back. It's so cool. I just really love this snap. I love building it. I thought I had so much fun with this one. I had a blast. So I'm glad it did well. Sari also said, you're welcome. I've been following your content on YouTube for a while, and I find it very helpful, even when I've been playing for years. Thank you for your content. Hey, much appreciated, my friend. I see you also have the Dead by Daylight badge. Very cool. I used to play a good bit of Dead by Daylight. We used to do, back in the day, this was like many years ago, we used to do, on every Sunday, we did community play days where my chat would like pick a game, and they would pick Dead by Daylight all the time. So we actually played that a good bit. I was able to get rank 1 Survivor a long time ago, but this was with like Dwight and like the early game. It was many years ago. Ashley said he won't feed me if I change away from a tier 3. Well, that's not true. I mean, I would just feed you less. I can't have you dying on me. I need my mods. Married Mess said, so if someone got 300 for a selfie or whatever, does their rank mean there are at least that many submissions? So if they rank 20,000, there are at least 20,000 entries. Yes, Married Mess, that is correct. You cannot get a rank that's lower than the, or, you know, I guess, if there are 120,000 submissions, the lowest rank possible would be 120,000, right? So yeah. To answer your question, that is correct. That is correct. Tranquil Panda, thank you, my friend. Tranquil said, I can upgrade my tier next month. My husband isn't working this summer, so it's tight. No need to explain, Tranquil Panda. No need, my friend. Do not worry. We got a big community. We got a lot of friends. There's a lot of people that are in a position to help us accomplish this goal. So I am not going to look at any of you guys sideways if you're not upgrading. You know, the fact that you're already a supporter means a tremendous amount to me. And you got to put you and your family first. That must be the priority. Never put any content creator, myself included, ahead of your personal situation. You know, I wouldn't want you to do that. If me getting into the Plus program was going to be determined only by you, I would still not want you to do it if things are tight. Prioritize yourself. Prioritize your finances. If you're in a position to do it, great, but you never owe me any kind of explanation if you aren't in the best spot to upgrade currently. So please don't feel like you ever have to explain that to me. I love you guys. I appreciate whatever you guys do. And even if you can't be a supporter at all, the most valuable thing you can give any creator is your time. So just being here means a lot to me. Probably Mandy. Oh, you also have the Dead by Daylight badge here. You have the Pride one. That one looks cool. I used to follow and watch way back in the Facebook and Animal Crossing days, and I found you recently. Dang, let's go. Mandy, welcome, my friend. Welcome. Wow, you're an OG friend. I can't believe you found us again. That's so cool. That's so cool. Dang, that means you were watching me like 6 years ago. Back when we were doing Animal Crossing, like, you know, shortly after the pandemic started and all that. Boy, that was a different time. I'm really blessed to still be doing this. I saw after the pandemic eased up and things opened back up, I saw a lot of streamers like have to quit because, you know, people returned to work and viewership dipped for a lot of us. And things just really slowed down for a lot of people, and it was no longer sustainable as a career. I could have ended up in that situation, but very luckily for me, I can be stubborn. So when I noticed the trends, when I noticed how things were going, I was like, well, I can't rely on Facebook to like show me to people. I can't rely on Twitch to show me to people. I'm going to start doing a lot more with YouTube. I'm going to start making videos every week. I'm going to put myself out there more. And that's the path I took. And that's what allowed me to keep my career alive, was streaming less and editing more. That's what led to me being here today. So I'm glad. I think a big part of the reason I was so stubborn about it is with my health. And with the lumbar discectomy I had and the nerve damage, I couldn't keep doing physical jobs much longer. I loved being a chef, but, you know, I probably had at most another 5 years in me for that. So I really needed this to work. Not only that, but I love what I do. I love this. Once I went full-time with it, I can't imagine doing anything else. I would love to be 70 years old still doing this. You know what I mean? Jingle Bells, thank you again for the big 364. Very kind of you, my friend. And Creeping, thank you for the hundo. Creeping said, hi, so hi, thanks for the recommendations yesterday. I took the time and made changes, and it's looking much better. Also got rank 2,215 today. Let's go. Cheers, my friend, cheers. Well done, Creeping, well done. Happy to hear that, happy to hear that. Mungo said, is that the new dog in the premium shop? Yes, the Shiba Inu. The Shiba Inu, one of my favorite dog breeds. Also, I think Shiba Inus are a Japanese breed. which works really well for my Valley because the Eastern vibes and the Eastern aesthetic. So I really, really like the Shiba Inu. I haven't even looked at the new premium shop stuff, like the leaks. So I didn't even know this was coming because I've just been busy. How long have you been full-time? I went full-time in April of 2020. So I've been full-time now for January, February, March, April. About 6 years and May, June, July, August. 4 months. So about 6 years and 4 months of being a full-time content creator. A little over half a decade, if you can believe it. So he said, I relate to that. I had to medically retire from my career as a first responder for 7 years due to my chronic illness. Oh, very sorry to hear that. But thank you for your service as a first responder. I'm sure you have seen some stuff. And that is no easy job. Like, that's very, very physical. And I feel definitely mentally taxing, I would imagine, too. Responding to, some of these urgent situations. A lot of people, even in good physical condition, mentally would have a hard time doing what you were doing. You're a real hero, my friend. Nels Bell says, was going to get Nana this weekend, but thinking I will get this dog instead, which means I can now buy this bundle with the hair. Oh, good call, good call. Yeah, that hair from... Don't sleep on that hair, you guys. Like I said, the hair that's in that bundle... Lexi said, that is wild, 40%. Thank you for the transparency, by the way. Oh, of course, my friend, of course. I see over there on YouTube. Yeah, and it's surprising. A lot of people don't know how much Twitch takes off the top. And you would think with Twitch taking, by default, they actually take 50%. So if you're not, the only reason that we get to keep 60% is because we're in the Partner Plus Level 1 program. So because of that, we get an extra 10%. But for any streamer that's not in the Plus program, Twitch automatically takes half of their sub revenue. And you would think that would mean Twitch is actually just rolling in money. But the funny thing is, Twitch actually operates at a loss. Twitch is heavily subsidized by Amazon. And that's why they take so much of the sub revenue. And that's also why it's so hard to get into the Plus programs, because they need the revenue. So yeah, when it comes to Twitch, the reason, which I know this is probably surprising a lot of you guys, because you would think Twitch is just like making a lot of money hand over fist, but they're actually not. It is insanely expensive for Amazon servers to host this many streams in this quality. And because of that insane cost, Twitch does not generate much revenue at all. And many months and even years, it's heavily subsidized by Amazon. Like, Amazon owns Twitch, and they keep it, they basically keep it running by, helping fund it. The ad revenue they make on Twitch and the revenue they get from streamers is enough to, I would assume, on some months make a little bit. But yeah, if you look up like Twitch's overall revenue versus their cost, it's actually not very good at all. There was even speculation that they would eventually take away Prime subs altogether. But thankfully, there was a lot of pushback from that, and people got really, up in arms about it, so they didn't do that. Thank goodness. There's also, here's something cool. There's a website, and if you go to that website and type in how many hours you stream each week, and you type in how many viewers watch your stream on average, and you also share what definition you stream at, whether it's HD or 2K, it'll tell you how much it costs Twitch to run your stream. And it's expensive. It's crazy how much they pay for each stream. we did this live on stream a while back. I'll have to, like, look up the site again because our metrics have changed. I would love to see where we're at now, like how much we're costing Twitch. But I feel like for my channel, Twitch is making money. Because, you know, we get a lot of gifted subs, and the fact that they're taking 40% of that, I feel like they're not in the red on my channel. I feel like they're definitely making their money off of me. That's for sure. Does anyone know if the issue with the Plaza skin has been fixed? I didn't get the new Plaza skin, so I don't know. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at your snap results. Also, we're very lucky right now, you guys. We're very lucky. The demon rests. The menace is eeping. She eeping. So she's not all over my keyboard. She's not going crazy right now. I actually came into the studio early today and really tried to tucker this little thing out before I went live. So I would have actually been live earlier, but she was like all over. She was knocking my camera over again. She was all over my keyboard. But yeah, she's chilling now. She's chilling now. But yeah, she's recharging. Give her about 30 minutes, and you know, I'm sure she will be full of that chaotic kitty energy again soon. But for now, I think we're good. Her name is Kohaku. Coco for short. Recharging her badness meter. Yeah, she's so funny. She has, like, no sense of personal space right now. She's, like, very new to the world. And since I stream in here, she's getting very used to me, which means she used me as a climbing post, and she'll, like, literally just climb up, like... But she's actually been developing some lab cat behavior. Today, she actually laid in my lap for, like, probably a solid 5 minutes before she got bored. All right, let's look at the snap results. Let's get into snap results. So on this stream, oh, and here's pictures of the little baby. Here's some pictures of her. Little tiny baby. Each week, when it comes to my Dreamsnap tips, like I stated, it's not about what I like. It's not about what I think should get 4K. The advice I give is about what we see consistently performing well. And how we can know that is by spending a lot of time each week looking over a lot of results. The more results, the better. Not only do I look at the results here on this post that I make, but I also look at the results in Discord servers, various places, different Dreamsnap groups. And that's, you know, one of the things we consider whenever we do give Dreamsnap results, because you're going to see a lot of the same things here. If you would like your snap to potentially be discussed on stream when we go through these results, be sure to follow me on Facebook and just keep an eye out for these posts. I do them every Wednesday. I also tag everyone in Discord as soon as the post is up, and I say, hey guys, share your results here. We're going to talk about them on stream. So if you fell short of 4K and you're maybe wondering why or what you could have done differently, or if you're very proud of your rank, you did great and you want to share where you landed and have it discussed, you know, we might not be able to talk about every single snap shared here, but we'll go through a lot of them. And there's always a chance you will be discussed if you do share here. So yeah, follow on Facebook. And while you're at it, we also have a great little Facebook group that we've made. We're now officially over 900 members. And I've only had this group for like a handful of weeks. When did we make this group, guys? 3 weeks ago? Like 2.5 weeks ago? It's pretty new. It's pretty new. The group is called the Dreamsnap Hub. It's on Facebook. This group is full of incredibly talented individuals. It's a super chill group. It's very active. And a lot of people come here to ask Dreamsnap questions and share their snaps. There's posts here many times a day, so if you're ever looking for inspiration or just looking for a cool, chill community on Facebook to like share your Dreamsnap stuff, because I've heard that some of the bigger Dreamsnap groups, I've just heard there's some issues there. I don't want to talk down on any groups. I don't even know which groups you guys are talking about when you mention this, because I'm too busy to really be part of them. But I have a lot of people saying they're really happy we made this one because it's like really nice and chill. So, we only have one rule here, you guys. Aside from the normal rules, like no hate speech, no bullying, no harassment, you know, the regular stuff, right? We have one rule, which I did reiterate today, so I want to bring this up on stream while we're at it. It just says, hey, everyone, friendly reminder here. As people share their snaps and their snap results on refresh day, please remember this group's one big rule. Unsolicited advice is not allowed. If a player shares their results and they are not asking for advice on what they could have done better, please do not critique their work. If you want to give advice to other players, I recommend seeking out posts that specifically ask what they could have done differently. Essentially, I want people to be able to come into this group and share their work without fear of being critiqued or ridiculed for their choices. On the flip side, I want people to be able to come into this group and gain valuable feedback if they are seeking advice. So, if you're not satisfied with your results and you're looking for answers, please be sure to include that in your post. Let's all continue working together to keep this group friendly, positive, and welcoming to all who join. And that was the post I made today, so if you didn't see it, just wanted to bring that up. Not that there was anything super negative in the group. I just saw a couple of posts where people shared their snap results, and they kind of commented what could have gone wrong, but they weren't asking for advice. They were like, yeah, maybe voters didn't like it, or maybe voters didn't understand the theme. But they didn't say, hey guys, why did this happen? They were just theorizing in their post. And then I would see comments under it that were like, well, I have no idea what you're doing here, with the theme exactly. If the theme was more clear, it could be stronger, which is helpful advice for sure, but they weren't asking for it. They had ideas of what could have gone wrong. So just remember that rule, guys. This is how we keep the group, friendly and inviting. I'm not a big fan of unsolicited advice. Most people are not. So just be sure if you are giving helpful tips, be sure it's on a post that's asking for it. And if you really love giving tips and advice, I promise you're going to find tons of posts here where people are doing that. So that's the only rule we have. Like I said, I want the group to be very inviting for anybody at all that just wants to share their work. Even if they're not happy with their results, you might know why by looking at it, but if they're not asking, they will eventually ask if they keep falling short, right? If they keep falling short of 4K, hopefully they'll get to a point to where they really want some advice, and they'll reach out and say, hey guys, what am I doing wrong? But until that happens, just, you can just be like, yeah, cool snap, You can even ask if they want advice. That would also work. That doesn't break the rule. So you can also comment on their post and say, hey, there's a lot of things you did really good here. Let me know if you want some extra tips that can be helpful. Just like ask them if they're open to it, This way, there's never any arguments. There's not any head bumping. People don't feel... we have so many super talented people in this group. Like this... per capita, like for how this group only has like 904 people, this might be the highest concentration of Dreamsnap talent in like one little place. Like there's a lot of people are in here are top 100, top 1,000 players, so there's a lot of talent here. And the last thing I want is for the group to come off as like, you know, a bunch of critics, right? I want us to be helpful, but I want to make sure we're not forcing that down people's throat, right? More or less. But yeah, if you guys want to join the group, if you like the way that sounds, if you want a place where you can get valuable insight from some very talented players, or a place where you can just share your work without fear of criticism, this is a place for you. This is a place for you. We love Dreamsnaps here. I'm obsessed with snaps. Most of my community is obsessed with snaps. So very, you know, the group is meant to embody that in a lot of ways. All right, with that out of the way, let's finally get into the snap results. We got to get into this here before it gets too much later. All right. So for mine, I got rank 206. I was pretty much expecting that, you know. I felt like with this one, with the storytelling, with the lighting, I was kind of expecting somewhere in the top 500, but could have been top 1,000, could have been top 2,000 if I popped up against really, really good stuff. But right around where I was kind of expecting. Could have been higher, too, you know. If I popped up against the right things, could have been, you know, top 50. You never know. Just comes down to those 1v1s. A lot of good snaps out there this week. A lot of really good snaps. So very excited to get the rank that I received. So we're going to look at some of your snaps here. In particular, we're going to look at a lot of the 4Ks. And if we see anybody that didn't get 4K that is asking what they could have done differently, we'll take a look at that as well. T-Dow, congrats. Glad the pirate theme here did get 4K. Good featuring of the relic. Oh, and also I want to mention this. We talked about this a lot during the reviews. Do you guys remember how for Lazy Cozy Day, during the reviews, even though we didn't have results yet, I kept mentioning that snaps that show the avatar seated and stationary being lazy, we're going to kind of steal the show. That's exactly what we saw, right? And I'm not psychic. I didn't see the future. It's just that once you've been looking at results for a while, you'll see typically what happens each week is snaps that embody the theme, not just with their environment, their villagers, and their outfit, but also with how they present things, typically outperform. They kind of steal the show. They'll dominate the meta. And it was the same kind of thing as this. I mentioned for Fabled Relics, what was going to dominate the meta in the 4K range this week was going to be snaps that feature some kind of interaction with these Fabled Relics. Keep in mind, that doesn't mean these are the only snaps that are going to get 4K. They're just going to be very abundant within the 4K. And it turns out, you know, we were pretty spot on with that once again. If we look at the top submissions here we are, you know, a Fabled Relic featured right here. We have the avatar looking directly at it. We have an adventurous outfit. All things we discussed. And we see it all right here in one of the top 3s. We look at this one, right on to the second one. Another snap with this Fabled Relic featured right at the front of the scene. And then we have an adventurous explorer archetype for the villager. And again, this doesn't mean every snap has to have these features to get into 4K. They're just going to communicate the theme very well, which makes them very competitive. Because if we go to the next photo, this one doesn't have the avatar interacting with a relic, right? But it does have things like the untold lurking creatures. And you could even say the elemental stone is the fabled artifact with the way it's glowing with the smoke bomb behind it. So I think you could say this one is their fabled artifact right here. And this is also what we mean when... Oh, yeah, she's napping. She's been so sweet. She actually sat in my lap a little bit earlier. Yeah, she's being a sweet baby. But yeah, this one's really cool. And this is what I mean about how you don't necessarily have to do all of the things we're discussing to get into 4K or even get into the top 3. But what you will find is that it's a safe play. You'll see a vast majority of what we're going to discuss today, a vast majority of what we're going to see, are going to be snaps that made these fabled relics very clear, very obvious. They interacted with these relics. It's just like Lazy Cozy Day, where I pitched the fact that for snaps where the avatar is seated and having a lazy day where they're not active, they're not walking around, they're stationary, these were going to dominate the meta. And all 3 of the top 3 snaps for this challenge had these seated poses. So you didn't necessarily have to use the robot pose or the fox pose, but you could sit in a chair, you could sit on a bed, and that's what comprised most of the 4K snaps within that 4K range. Just like how Forested Book Nook, what we talked about was snaps that feature the avatar reaching for a book or actively reading a book, because one of the phrases in the challenge stated, get lost in your favorite story, right? So if you can showcase the avatar kind of, you know, being into books or actively reaching for a book or reading a book. Oh my God, Jordan came in here and petted the little one, and now she is awake. Well, get ready for chaos. Get ready for chaos. Actually, I think she's looking for Jordan. She just walked over there. Now she's looking at the door. She's like, where'd Mom go? So that's why when we were doing reviews for Fabled Relics, you know, we commonly discussed the importance of, you know, the avatar pose and interacting with these relics. But again, that doesn't mean you can't get 4K any other way, because this one we see a top 3 where they're not necessarily interacting directly with a relic, but they do have that adventure style. They do have those untold lurking creatures, and they just have an absolutely beautiful scene here. The rushing wind, the silhouettes, very masterfully crafted, right? This new challenge is pretty neat, too. And it's kind of like, you know, that's why for Summer Street Festival, the biggest thing I was recommending for a lot of you guys that got reviews on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday was to make sure you nail the summer aspect of this theme. Just like how in Lazy Cozy Day, you really wanted to nail the lazy factor. In Forested Book Nook, you really wanted to nail the forested vibe as well as the reading concept. In Fabled Relics, it was going to be very important whether you do a Sword in the Stone type of scene, a medieval scene, a jungle scene. It was going to be very important to highlight that sense of adventure, those untold lurking creatures, and those fabled relics. That ties directly into the advice we were giving for Summer Street Festival. For this challenge, it's going to be very important to make sure it's very obvious that it is a street festival. That's a particular type of festival where the street is closed and the festival takes place there. And then making sure you have those summer elements. There's a lot of things you can do for the summer elements, right? You don't necessarily need the summer dream styles. Even if I didn't have Scrooge, Stitch, and Merlin with these summer styles, Joy would still work really well. Moana is going to be awesome. Ariel's going to be awesome. Maui's going to be awesome. Lots of great villagers you can use here. But what really gives us a good summer vibe would be the outfit, the shaved ice bike, the pawsicles, the ice cream stand, the neon koi balloons, and the palm trees. It gives it this coastal community feel. When you combine all those things together, it just takes the theme and just shoves it right in the voter's face. Like, here's everything the theme engine right here for you. So this applies to every challenge, you guys, no matter what the challenge may be. One of the best ways to make your Dreamsnap very competitive and to give you a very high likelihood of not only getting 4,000 Moonstones, but also potentially popping up in the top 100 or top 50, is to make everything you add to your scene, everything you incorporate, try to ensure that it ties directly back to the theme. and try to make the theme so incredibly clear and obvious that there is zero doubt or question that your snap is or is not on theme. What I like about the rank 1 here is, you know, the challenge that it's time to get adventurous. They have a great adventurer, explorer archetype here. The binoculars. The challenge itself was about fabled relics. And they have this look of surprise, like, oh my god, I can't believe I found this. Well, that's because it's not just a regular relic, right? It's a fabled relic. The dream styles they use, like the Safari Donald, ties perfectly into this scene. And they even added the untold lurking creatures. Like we have the hyena den back here with the glowing eyes. Then we have Simba kind of growling here. Nala looks a lot more peaceful, but the threatening nature, the danger of the adventure is here. So regardless of what the challenge may be, if you do your best to really capture the title and description, and you play up things like having the camera close to the avatar, having good lighting, having good scene visibility, you have a very, very good shot at 4K. Okay, now that we've kind of recapped all of that, so T-Dow, I see your pirate kind of theme did end up getting 4K here. Love the green smoke bombs on the side. Well done, featuring the fabled relic right at the front here. And that's yet another snap that was not using the jungle stuff, so you definitely didn't need to use that. Carrie here, Crazy Cat Mom, says I've reached a 10-week 4K streak. Nice. And right around the top 1,000 here, you're at 1,079. Is this a Dreamsnap for ants? Why so tiny? You like saving space on your phone or something? This did turn out really good. I'm just giving you a hard time. I remember reviewing this one. Great job here, my friend. I expected this to do well. You have the untold lurking creature. You have your fabled relic over here. Good storytelling with Flynn. The crawling plants that it mentioned with like the thorns. And you feature the avatar very prominently. Good lighting throughout the scene. So this performed, you know, as expected. Here's a great rank here. Cassie. Oh, I think this is LOTR. Rank 327. Yeah, I remember reviewing this one. I'm so glad your snap worked out, because I actually really liked the idea here. Because I know you did one with like a more traditional relic, and then you did this one where the relic was Beast's rose. And then you had Beast coming out of the fog in the background, like really angry, which is very true to Beast. And, you know, I know you were talking about the risk factor here, like if people didn't think this was relic-y enough. And of course, that could potentially be a thing, as we mentioned. But I expected this to do really well at the end of the day. Because like I mentioned when we reviewed this, just the concept, the storytelling here of the relic being the rose and Beast being protective of it ties directly into Disney lore. I just think that's super fun and super cool. So I'm so glad this got a rank it deserved. Definitely reasonable to see this in the top 500. Such a cool take on the theme. Very well done, LOTR. Very well done. Here's another top 500. After a discouraging week last week, losing my 4K streak, I'm back in 4K. Honestly, I was not sure about this one, going with a different relic than many others, but I'm very happy with this one. Mags, this was like one of my favorite relics for the entire challenge. Like, I'm pretty sure I used it in my example scene. And a lot of people use this relic, actually. This was like a very popular relic, so I'm not sure why you would be nervous with a relic that I recommended so heavily. You know, I even mentioned that this is one of my favorite ones to use. I ended up going with the Grail personally because I think it worked well with my motif idea, having a little motif around it. But I was kind of torn between the Grail and this one. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why you would be nervous about, you know, such a good relic. We talked about this being one of the best options because it even has its little animation. And this relic is actually in the rank 1 public submission. So, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, Mags. If I'm recommending an item to you, if I'm like, hey, this could be a good option, this could be a good option, they're usually not risky, right? I'm going to recommend really safe directions. I think risky would be, you know, we saw some people doing funny things, like for example, there was the stony fence from Storybook Veil, like somebody showcased that. That would be risky. There was also a snap where they did an old-timey TV, right? That would be risky. Nothing risky about this. If this relic was risky, I wouldn't really recommend it, but it's perfect for the theme. And you got your highest rank ever. Well done. Top 500 here, rank 361. You already fixed what was originally risky with your scene when we reviewed it, as I recall, was the lighting. You had brought really big trees out to the sides, and they cast large shadows over your scene. And as discussed, when you fix your lighting issues, when you don't have a ton of shadow on your scene, you'll see your rank increase by thousands. The same photo with poor lighting versus the same photo with strong lighting could be the difference between getting rank 10,000 and getting rank 100. It's that big of a deal. That's how important lighting is. Aaron said, I'm very new to Dreamsnaps. Been watching all your videos and tricks. I set a goal for 4K by the end of this year. I got 2,500 moonstones for this one. Oh, you can definitely get 4K by the end of the year, my friend. I think you can do that. I think you should change your goal to this month. I'll be honest with you. I think you should set a goal to get your first 4K in the month of August. If you continue learning and growing, I think you could do really well. If you want advice on how this could have potentially gotten 4K, you can let me know. Because from what I'm seeing here, I can definitely see what held this back. But still, 2,500 puts you in the top 10% of all snaps. You're so close. You're doing some things very well. Like the way you're close to the avatar, the way you tied the theme into the avatar presentation, the types of vegetation you're using in the scene. There's one decision you made that's not very popular in the 4K range, and it's probably what kept this from advancing further. If you had changed that one thing, I think you could add your first 4K this week. Samarantha here in the top 2,000. Well done, well done. And there's just so many snaps that aren't using the jungle walls. That's why at the beginning of the stream I was like, guys, like this one here. We see Megan. I got ranked 367. I was a bit worried since I didn't go with the jungle theme. Guys, this is why I tell you, on your dream snaps, you shouldn't be looking at a bunch of other snaps and thinking, I have to do the same thing as everybody else to get 4K. What's really important is the theme. Just be on theme. You can do a completely different environment, completely different setting, completely different characters. If you're delivering on the theme, that is irrelevant. That is not going to change anything. People were not doing jungle scenes because they were better. That's not the reason anybody did jungle. And if it is the reason somebody did jungle, I think they're lacking in a little bit of the understanding of what Dreamsnaps really is. The reason a lot of people did jungle is because we just like using new stuff. Like, for example, I've decorated with this Night Castle wall set. I've used this in Dreamsnaps probably over 10 times at this point. And I've never had a chance to build with these walls. So for me as a player, if I get new stuff, I'm really excited to see how it looks in a scene. That's why you see a lot of jungle snaps. people weren't doing jungle snaps because they were safer or better. They weren't. They're the same as these. Now, of course, all 3 of the top 3 public submissions we saw were jungle themed, but that's why you can't just take that small data sample and assume it applies to everything, because there's a ton of top 500 snaps that do this sword and the shield type of build. There's actually a lot of these. There were 2 very popular concepts this week. The jungle archetype scenes, and then the mossy castle or the night castle wall scenes. Those were the 2 most common. All right, sorry about the delay there, you guys. We should be back. My apologies. I really need to uninstall and reinstall my drivers because I've been having issues the past week or so. But with the new kit, I just haven't had the time yet, which is really frustrating, but I will take care of it. Yeah, I've been having a couple my drivers are up to date, but I think on the last installation, I think there was a minor issue with the installation. I think I need to just completely uninstall and reinstall drivers, or I might end up switching back to one of my previous drivers from before. I'll take care of it. I don't have chat open just yet, so let me come back to you guys here. We should be good now, though. Everything should be good. We'll get back to what we were doing. I may need to run to the potty for a quick restroom break as well, though. Let me get everything set up for you guys first here. Okay. I'm coming, chat. I'm coming. There we go. All right. Voxed with like random keyboard typing and said preach it. All right, there we go. Okay, refresh if you can't see me. Should be good. I gotta reopen. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We had so many people here. We had on YouTube, there were like, I think we had like almost 130 people on YouTube, and we had like 200 on Twitch when we crashed. That sucks. I could do the drivers tomorrow, but I gotta make that Dreamsnap guide. I don't know if I'll even get it done tomorrow with the kitty running around. Let me open my YouTube stream back up as well. In 1 second, you guys. My apologies. Okay. We're back. Sorry, guys. So sorry about that. Oh, wow. 100 people stayed on YouTube. That's really nice of you guys. Thanks for hanging around. I think we actually... we came back with YouTube. Most people didn't even leave. Y'all were awesome. Thank you. Let me open Facebook back up. Gonna get back to what we were doing. Again, sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. Should be good now, though. I don't think... I ran a quick diagnostic once I restarted the PC, and we're not seeing the same level of memory consumption that we saw before, so I think we're good. What's been happening lately is, for whatever reason, my audio and video... See, you hear that little mic skip? My audio and video drivers are getting caught in a loop where there's, like, feedback, and then it basically just starts eating memory. And then it shuts down my driver. Like, my PC didn't crash. I was still here, but it basically force-closed OBS and everything else. And when that does happen, safest thing to do is just restart, because it'll prevent it from happening again, hopefully. I just need to replace the drivers. Anyway, what I was saying before that happened was simply that, you know, whether or not you do jungle or the Night Castle Wall, you're not taking any kind of risk, and you have nothing to worry about just because you didn't do a particular style. The reason people were making jungle scenes was because people just enjoy decorating with new stuff. They weren't doing it because it was going to perform better. It's really, you know, just as long as you're doing the theme, as long as you're prioritizing the theme, don't worry about whether or not you're doing what everybody else is doing. All that matters is that the theme is very obvious in your Dreamsnap. Now, Danny here got 4K for the first time. I think this is our friend in chat that was saying they got 4K for the first time and they ranked in the top 1,000. Pretty cool. Your first time ever in 4K and you're in the top 1,000. Honestly, seeing your snap here, I'm really kind of surprised. I'm really kind of surprised that you haven't been in the 4K range. You have really, really good lighting. You have great storytelling with your villagers. You have strong foreground elements. Small items in the front, medium items in the midground, tallest stuff in the back. You've portrayed the theme really well. A lot of really good things here. Very good, very good. Well, not only did I use that relic in my example mags, I also brought it up on stream during the reviews, like at least 20 times when we were talking about the theme. I had this whole collection of items you could use as your relic, and that was one of my favorite ones. Even when I was talking about making my snap, I said it was between, I was kind of torn between the Grail and the Incense Burner. Like, those were my two favorites. And there were a lot of snaps that used the Dragon Incense Burner. It wasn't rare or out of the norm at all. I think things like this were more rare. Like, you know, things like this big golden planet. The Dragon Incense Burner was pretty common. But, you know, there was a lot of variety with these relics. Like this one, we see a time core. We saw a lot that did time cores. We saw a lot that did the big floating orbs, like these orbs here. We saw a lot that did these little Nala statues. So what I'm getting at here is the point of a dream snap is not to just do what everybody else is doing, right? Like, that doesn't have anything to do with how you perform. It's to make sure you communicate the theme. Make the theme super obvious. You could use what other people are using, or you could not use what other people are using. As long as the theme is being directly communicated, you are not taking a risk. Therefore, it's pointless to worry about that. That would be like, for example, me worrying about my Summer Street Festival scene because I have Stitch in a different place than other people did. Right? You see how that sounds a little silly? So, every snap is going to be different to a degree. As long as the theme is very clear, that's not what you should be worrying about. Like, oh, I'm using a relic that might not be as popular as some of the other options. That's not really something I would trouble myself stressing out over. You know, what you really want to focus on is things like, you know, how you're telling your story, how you're lighting your snap, how you're framing your shot, how you're presenting your avatar. Those are the things you should be focused on. Again, tons of variety. Tons and tons of variety with the relics this week. Rank 64 on this one from Diane. Very nice. Good top 100 here. I think Raja's really fun in this one. Very strong submission here. And again, yeah, I love that we can see the map coming out of the backpack. Avatar featured very close to the frame. Great time core piece here. Wonderful job. Wonderful job. I actually think one of the most common relics the entire week is the Sword in the Stone. I think the Sword in the Stone ended up being used in more snaps than any other relic because I've seen a ton of jungle snaps using the Sword in the Stone, and there's a ton of medieval snaps that use it. So this item has kind of bridged the gap between both styles. So this ended up being a super popular relic. It's in a lot of snaps. Brandy here, gone in the top 1,000. I did enjoy reviewing this one. The only thing we really recommended for this one was to have that danger element to play up the adventuring. I really love that you added Beast in. I think this turned out great. You did a really good job here. Rank 964. I loved everyone's jungle / hidden temple vibes, but I couldn't get this idea of the sword and the stone out of my head, so I'm glad it did well. Yeah, sword and the stone, like I just said, Knight, you know, the sword and the stone was extremely popular this week. A lot of people used it. Claudia here got rank 115. One of my favorite snaps, she said. Well done, well done. You did a great job incorporating your relic here. We talked about these in my video as well, about how using these orbs could be a really good, you know, play for your relic. So it also adds a lot of beautiful color to the snap as well. So great job here. Rank 115. Very good scene. It's kind of a combination of the jungle pieces and the, you know, we have the elemental stones, the big Ancient's Landing, like carvings here. Really cool. Scar lurking in the side. So you ended up adding in, you know, you have your untold creatures lurking. You have your sense of surprise as you found your relic. Using the cat pose to put your hands on the sphere was great storytelling here. Overall, very solid snap. Communicated the theme really well. Sarah, I'm ranked 972. Says, thanks to Senpai for the Pluto pose idea. I was struggling with the concept until I watched the tip videos. Yeah, Pluto pose was could be really good here. That's actually what I'm using here. If you time it at a certain point, you can actually have your avatar look very surprised. And you could also get close to the avatar even with the Pluto pose. You just have to turn your angle a certain way. It's kind of tricky. Here we go. Jess got her highest rank ever. Rank 17. Top 20 here. Great job. Great job. Picture came in a little small. But yeah, you're using the little Nala statue. Also another fun item for the jungle relics. Good pose here. Very good. Very good. Catterday. So this is one that fell just short of 4K. This would have been 4K if we had more submissions in the challenge. Ended up getting rank 8,958, 2,500 moonstones. I didn't get a review on this one. I know 2,500 isn't something to be ashamed of. That is correct. You should never be ashamed of 2,500. Still puts you around the top 10% of all snaps. That's a very good place to land. Maybe next time. I do still like my shot. I don't know if the foggy weather hurt my rank. Any feedback is welcome. Okay. Well, I like the fog here. I think it's pretty fun. You featured your relic well. You have a nice surprise on the avatar. You have good storytelling with some of your villagers. I would say in this case, you know, you likely popped up against some other good snaps. There were, if you look at some of the snaps that did what you did here, where you're using like the crumbling castle pieces and the medieval vibe, the sword and the stone relic really stole the show in most of these. Not all of them, but most of them. And you got Flynn positioned really well. The other thing is color, right? What I would recommend, Catterday, when you build a scene like this where you're going to have a lot of gray, overlaying more color. If we go look at, for example, I want to go back to LOTR's beast snap that she did. It was really good. She was using the same, or we can look at, Samantha's here. So she has the gray walls as well. But you see how she's brought in this vibrant green. She's brought in these glowing mushrooms. This is why when I'm giving advice on Snaps Saturday, one thing I talk about, what we see very consistently in 4K, is bold, vibrant colors. They are very, very common in 4K, especially in the higher ranks. Like you look at this one, it's rank 205. Look at the vibrancy, right? Look at how much the Dreamsnap pops, how much it stands out because of that strong lighting and those bold colors. Now, when you're using the Night Castle wall, that's going to add a lot of gray to your scene. But there's good ways you can add color in. And you can find some good examples of snaps that are doing that very well. Like this one here. They said they thought they'd be lucky to get 2.5K. And this could have gone either way. This could have missed out on 4K. Just depends on what you pop up against. But they did end up getting 4K. The expression is really good. The avatar is really good here. But they're using the same gray kind of wall pieces you are, but they also incorporated a lot of vibrant greens here. And it might take me a minute to track down LOTRs again, but we'll take a look at it later. I do think, Catterday, if you would have popped up against the right stuff, I think this definitely would have gotten 4K because it's good. You featured your avatar really well. You handled your villagers really well. You have good lighting. I don't think the fog hurt you that much because the front of the scene and the midground's still very visible. I do think if you would have taken your smoke bombs that you have back here and changed them to like a nice vibrant green fog or maybe even a blue fog, that would have probably worked a little bit better color-wise. And it would have helped the photo stand out a bit. It's a really good photo. I think it definitely deserved 4K. I think it's stronger than a few of the photos I've seen in 4K. But that's the thing. Dreamsnaps isn't always equal or fair. Some weeks, some people are going to get the blessing of popping up against really basic snaps, like selfies and quest photos. And other players are going to have the unfortune of popping up against some really strong snaps. I would say that's likely what happened for you here. You were just right on the precipice of 4K. It's a solid build. You're playing up the meta well. You have great lighting. I will say, if you popped up against other medieval snaps, we see the Sword in the Stone and Merlin really stealing the show for this concept. And then also what we see with a lot of the knightly medieval snaps with the crumbling walls is trying to balance out the level of gray with the incorporation of a little additional color. But even if you were to not do those things, if we had the exact same challenge this week and you submitted this same photo, you could turn around and it could be rank 1,000 this week, whereas last week you got rank 9,000. It just depends on what you pop up against. It's always going to come down to those 1v1 matchups. So you did a good job here. I think you did a great job with your scene. I think it's really fun. Could have been 4K, but at least you still got 25. I think what's worse is when you make a snap this strong and it gets like 1,500 or 1,200. Because at that point, you just had really, really unfortunate luck. That means you popped up against a lot of really good stuff. So at least you still got 2,500 here. It's a strong build. I like it. So Sabrina here, 1,500 moonstones, rank 14,213. This was a very quick submission, but I thought it was still on theme, so I was hopeful. Well, I definitely shouldn't have been. I wouldn't say that, Sabrina. I wouldn't say that. But here's the thing, Sabrina. Here's the thing. It's not just about being on theme. If you're simply on theme, you could get really lucky and get 4K just by being on theme. So if you theme is the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum for good performance. So if you simply do the theme, you will have a chance of getting 4K if you pop up against random selfies or quest photos because you did the theme and they didn't. But the problem is, if you would have spent just a couple more minutes here, just a couple more, I think you would have had a really, really high chance of 4K. The problem is, this challenge was really good for storytelling. This particular challenge. We're on an adventure. It's time to get adventurous. The challenge also mentioned lurking creatures, untold lurking creatures. So that's why we have like the Hyena Den and Scar and Soli. And then, we have all of these villagers to tell a story. I'm not saying you need to use this many villagers, but the fact that you didn't bring in a single one, it wouldn't take any that much time, right? An additional 5 minutes, just another 5 minutes, that's it, could have been the difference for you of 4K versus 1500. It's not about spending hours and hours on your snap to get 4,000 moonstones. It's about strategy. That's the big key. If you want to get 4,000 moonstones, it's not about just sitting at your computer or sitting on your Switch for 6 hours trying to make the perfect scene. It's about using the time you have wisely. So with this open space you have here, you could have Flynn doing the thing. You could have Scar creeping up in the background. And that stuff would not have taken you a whole tremendous amount of extra time. 1,500 moonstones is still good. You're still, and you got ranked 14,000. So what you have to consider here is even with no villagers and with a very quick submission, since you did the theme, that's why you're still in the top 20% of all snaps. So you threw together a submission. You didn't really put any thought or strategy into using villagers or telling a story aside from the avatar pose. And you still got in the top 20%. And that's because you did the theme. So when you said, I thought it was still on theme, it is. But so are like 40% of Dreamsnaps, right? Maybe 30%. A lot of people are on theme. But only the top 4.5% get 4K. When your snap falls short of 4K or it falls short of 2,500, that doesn't mean you're not on theme. This is exactly why each week I talk about making your snaps more competitive. It's not that you just want to do the theme. You want to excel with the theme. That's the difference between 4K and 1,500. The challenge mentioned untold lurking creatures. You left that out. You do have your fabled relic. You do have a good pose, which is exactly why you're still in the top 20%. The fact that you attempted the theme is why you're still in. You still beat 80% of snaps, right? That's great. That's great. If you'd have taken an extra few minutes, just a tiny bit, you potentially could have earned another 2,500 moonstones on top of what you got. And it's so worth it just to spend those extra couple minutes. Again, I'm not saying you have to do something like this where you add like the fireflies and the vines and like a bunch of villagers and you have all this stuff going on. You don't. There's a lot of snaps in 4K that don't have all this stuff. This is more for just guaranteeing you get 4K, right? So this ended up getting around rank 200. And from my perspective, there's not a tremendous amount of snaps that could really beat this in a vote. So worst case scenario, even if I pop up against a lot of great snaps, I should be able to beat a lot of them enough to make sure I get 4K, even if I'm on the lower end. So even if I end up getting rank 7,000, I'm still going to be in 4K. But if this has like a normal run, it'll probably be top 500, and it got rank 206. So pretty expected, right? So if you took the same build you had here, you added some diversity to your trees in the back, just a couple of different jungle trees as well, in addition to the bamboo, maybe a couple palm trees. Take a couple minutes there. And then you added a bit more decor where it's empty here. And then just use your villager toggle, just add like two or three villagers. That's it. Just a few. Handful. You would go from a 1,500 moonstone to a very likely 4,000 moonstone. But yeah, you were on theme. You featured your fabled relic. You have a great outfit, very Lara Croft inspired. You showcased good surprise. If you were to incorporate just a little bit more competitiveness into this snap, this is the difference between 1500 and 4K, is that few extra minutes. Which is why if you want to get some good moonstones, I highly recommend just putting that tiny bit of extra time in. I promise you it'll be worth it. You don't have to do all this, right? I'm not saying you got to spend hours and hours trying to get everything looking, I do this because it's fun. I don't do this because I have to. I genuinely enjoy making snaps. It's my favorite part of the game. I love putting things like this out there because I love sharing my work. Not only do I like people seeing it when they vote, I love showing it to you guys. I love saying, guys, look what I made. It's kind of like a little kid. Like, you guys remember growing up, you would like draw or like paint a picture, and you were so excited to show your mom and dad. You would run up and be like, look what I made. And your parents would always say, oh my God, that's so good. And they put it on the fridge and you'd feel so good about yourself. That's me with Dream Snaps. Like, that's the main reason I make them, is because I'm just excited to be like, guys, look what I made, everybody. So I just have so much fun, making these. It's not about the moonstones. It's not about getting rank 1. It's just about having a lot of fun and being proud of what I created. So that's another thing, is if you want to do really good, if you have the time, try to have fun. Try to have fun with your snap, instead of focusing on how do I just hit the theme with as little work as possible. Enjoy yourself if you have time. Sometimes life's too busy. Sometimes life gets in the way. So, if you only have 5 minutes to make your snap this week, this is pretty good. But if you can somehow find 10 minutes instead of 5, you can add a couple of villagers, or if you can find an evening where you can sit back and just relax and just really have fun with it, where you try out a bunch of different decor, you add some more diversity to the scene, you add some cool lighting effects, and you're just like jamming out, having a good old time. That's when you'll end up finding yourself getting a fantastic rank, right? You might find yourself, instead of getting 1500 moonstones, now you're waking up to find that you're in the top 500 or top 1000, because you enjoyed yourself. You put that time and thought into it. Can be, well worth it. Detour Tigress says, ranked 238. Congratulations. Well done. Very close to my rank here. Thank you for the reviews. They do help with seeing what I may miss when doing these. This week, I didn't have a review done because I wanted to see if I could do it on my own. I'll probably be doing reviews next week. Well, I'll be honest with you, Tigress. Nobody really absolutely needs the review, right? If you're capable of getting 4K, you don't need me for that. It's really just, like Beyblade. Look at Beyblade. Look at Mama Dukes. Look at Sunshine. Do you think these players need my reviews? They truly don't. Beyblade has been getting 4K for the past 9 months straight. Mama Dukes, I would say, like, almost all of her snaps ever have been 4K. Sunshine is regularly in the top 1,000, top 100. These players absolutely do not need the reviews. They're going to get 4K regardless of whether or not they submit to me. They simply do it because I think they just enjoy hearing additional concepts they can incorporate just for fun. This is what I mean. These players aren't building these scenes just to get moonstones. They're building them because they enjoy it so much. And that's why they submit to me. They know they don't need to submit a Dreamsnap to me to get 4K. They don't need me at all. I could disappear tomorrow. And these players, they're still going to get 4K every week. But they have so much fun making their snaps that they're like, what else can I do here that could be really cool? I wonder what Senpai would say. Like, maybe Senpai will have a fun villager I can add. I'm gonna submit it to him and see if there's anything neat I could do here to make this even more competitive. Hear what he thinks, But they know good and well that they don't need me for that. Just like you don't, So submitting for a snap review doesn't mean you doubt your work. It doesn't mean you don't believe in yourself. Because if that was the case, we would never see submissions for people like Mama Dukes, Sunshine, Dree GG, Bobs, all of these people we have that just stay in 4K, we would never see their submissions if they, if that was how it was. So just keep in mind, everybody here can get 4K on their own. Nobody needs my review. Now, I wouldn't say nobody. If somebody's very new to snaps and they don't understand lighting or composition, or if they are leaving out certain parts of the theme, then and they're not able to get 4K on their own, then yeah, they may need the reviews to help push them there. But once they learn these things in 1, 2, 3, or 4 review sessions, they don't need me anymore. They could do it by themselves every week. It's just that a lot of people enjoy snaps, and they're always just wondering what else could be possible. Like, what else could happen with this snap? What would be the perspective of somebody that loves snaps if they saw this? How would they feel? So yeah, just don't ever feel like you need me for your reviews, Detour, because if you're somebody that gets 4K regularly, you really don't need my reviews to continue doing that. You really don't. Very nice here, Miss Spock. Very nice. Happy to see this got 4K. Really good lighting trick here with the chandelier, the deep. Love the way you lit up the side. This was one of the snaps I really liked. It's very simple, but I think it's very strong. I expected this to get 4K right around rank 4,000. I feel like the reason it's around 4,000 and not like one of these top 1,000s is because it's, there's not as much storytelling as some of the other snaps, but the lighting is really good. That's why I was pretty confident this was going to be a 4K submission for sure. Bethany here said rank the highest I've ever gotten. Rank 1216, got 4K. Thank you so much, Senpai. Your advice and support is greatly appreciated. Yeah, you did a great job with the changes here. I remember in your... Yo, Johnny, thank you, my friend. Lori also said, where do you get the dragon relic? Oh, well, it's not actually called a relic. It's a dragon incense burner, and it's from the Majesty and Magnolia StarPath. Johnny with another 100. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Johnny with a big 201. Also, guys, we are not quite at halfway to today's goal. We are on today's big goal number 225. We have hit our previous 224 goals in a row. So if you guys want to support the content, you can help keep the streak alive by doing, you can type !tip, !donate for direct donation links. You can send bits, or you can do super chats on YouTube, whatever you may want to do.
Notice me, Senpai.
Thank you to Guy. Thank you for the big 400. Tazzy, thank you for the big 500. Oh, wow. That was a lot happening at once. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Well, now we're well over halfway. Tazzy, thank you. Jennifer, thank you. Amanda, thank you. Robbery, thank you. Oh, and Crystal, thank you for the resub. Dang, Hype Train 2. Eyes, thank you. Weasley, thank you. Kendall, thank you. Wow, all I did was say a couple words, and you guys just proceeded to absolutely annihilate the goal. Thank you very much, you guys. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Cambria, thank you. Vox, thank you. Ghost Girl, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the best. Wishing Stardust here said, love this theme. Continuing a 12-week 4K streak. Congratulations, Wishing Stardust. Well done. Well done. I think you did a great job with this one. I was a little worried with how dark it was, but if that doesn't always mean it's not going to do well. And here's the trick when a snap is darker. Here's my big recommendation. Dang, let's go! Y'all smash the goal. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, my God, bro. That was so fast. Jeez, bro. Thank you, guys. Mags, thank you for the hundo. Ghost Girl, thank you. Crystal with the big 1,000 bits. Ghost Girl with the big 100 bits. And we got a Hype Train here. Thank you, everybody. That was so quick. Jen and Hazel said, hi, I didn't submit for review, but I used all your advice and I got 4K. Well done, my friend. Yeah, you never have to get the reviews to get value out of them. If you just drop by the stream when we're doing the reviews, or if you watch the Thursday guides, there's always some advice that can apply to anybody, right? You know, we focus a lot on lighting, theme, overall composition, foreground, storytelling, all these really great things that are going to be helpful. There's Crystal's Big 1K. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Jenny Benny, returning chatter here, says, I play on PS5, and I've been playing Disney Dreamlight Valley for about 3 months and absolutely love the game and Dreamsnaps. I found you about a month ago, and I've been following your tips and have gotten 4K Moonstones this week. I'm so happy. Oh, congratulations, my friend. Well done, Jenny Benny. You've only been playing for 3 months, and you're already locking in 4K. Very well done. Only 3 months of playing, and you're already in the top 5% of all snaps with your submission. That is impressive. That is impressive. Very well done, my friend. Eyes of Sorrow, thank you for the hundo. Kimberly, thank you. Eyes of Sorrow again. Pure Ice, thank you. Tazzy, thank you. Sunshine, thank you. Tazzy again, thank you. Okay, you guys have absolutely blown past the goal. Thank you, thank you. So, and since you guys are still doing it, here's another party. Yippee! Let's go! Sunshine said, happy refresh day. We really got to make some example scenes. Speaking of refresh. Model Newbie, thank you for the gifted sub as well. That is very kind of you. So when it comes to a scene being a bit more shadowed and darkened, there is a way to still have it work really well. Whereas, essentially what you're going to want to do is play up luminescent elements and play up character lighting. The reason this still easily locked in a top 2,000 is because while we don't have good light hitting the trees here, the way Wishing Stardust boosted the character lighting to ensure all of our storytelling elements came through strong, and then used a luminescent relic to add more light into the foreground here, and then had the glowing eyes in the backdrop. The combination of these elements gave the photo good visibility to the voter, despite the fact that the canopy here is not catching sunlight. It's kind of the same thing with night snaps, right? Like when you build a nighttime submission, the trick is to take advantage of the darkness, right? When a scene, when it's nighttime, you have this natural darkness. You don't have the sunlight hitting anything. So if you can make good use of character lighting and luminescent qualities on your outfit, and then luminescent decor, you know, like this silhouette here, and like the aurora and the stars and the storyteller fires, and these fountains are also luminescent. It's the same for a daytime snap where it's in a shaded area. The key is using the shade or the darkness to your advantage, which is a lot more technical. It's a lot harder, you know, to make snaps like this. Because normally, if you have really good strong lighting, you're just pretty safe. You know, you're gonna have everything's gonna be colorful and bright, and voters gravitate towards stuff like that. But this shows that you don't have to do it that way in order to get 4K. So very well done here, Wishing Stardust. Very well done. Congratulations. Oh wait, it's Bob's birthday? No way! I made it. I had some late birthday lunch. I ranked 400 this week. Congratulations, Bobs. Well done. Ooh, look at this, you guys. Rank 87 here. Is this Beagle Mama? I think this is Beagle Mama. I remember looking at this one. I really like this one. Isn't this one of the ones I said was a guaranteed 4K? I'm pretty sure it is. I feel like usually when I say that, it ends up being a top 100. Really good job here. Bob says the big 3-9. Dang, let's go. We're very close to the same age. Just realized that. We might even be the same class for high school. I was a class of 05, I think. It's a while now. Oh, snap, you are the class of 05. Dang, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday. Scuttle said originally 05 here, too. Oh, dang, no way. No way, no way. I wish I didn't... I lost my class ring. Ooh, you guys got a new emote. Very cool. I've had that one for a little while. Little balloon animal. I've got all the Tier 1 Hype Train, Tier 2 Hype Train, Tier 3, and I think even all the Tier 4 Hype Train emotes. I think only 5 and above are the ones that I don't have all of them. And now we have the gritty use, so I could care less. Yippee. Price said 04, and my son in 05. Dang, a year after graduation? You got right on that family thing, didn't you? You got right to it. Yeah, really good job here, Beagle Mama. Not surprised this did so well. Oh, here's Bob's. Made some tweaks after my secondary review, and I'm glad I did. Ranked 400. Very nice. I love the outfit so much. Like the dread hair, very cool. The avatar looks really pretty here. And the garden stones look great. Scar kind of growling in the back. Flynn. Donald throwing his hat up in the air. Just a really good job. Tasteful fireflies. Very well done, Bobs. Very well done. Another top 500 submission here. Gemma said 4K, my best rank yet. Top 300 here, rank 277. Well, you did such a good job with this. Oh, and this is perfect because this kind of reminds me of what I was saying about another snap. One that got 2,500 that definitely could have gotten 4K if it popped up against other things. But this is what I mean about color. Not every, Night Castle Wall snap needed like this much green, but I definitely think this played a good role in making sure that this snap stood out during the voting phase. Those vibrant colors can be really good at capturing the voters' attention, and I remember the tips we gave on this one really was just rounding out the corners a bit more. I think the fact that you brought the green down here into the corner, as opposed to some of the pocket items we had before, just really helped balance it up with the rest of the scene. And I know you had a window back here at first where we saw Beast, but then you opened it up into a doorway, which allowed you to feature more green there. You did such a good job on this build, and you did a great job with the little, with the very few minor tips and critiques we applied. But yeah, this was already a very strong Dreamsnap. I'm glad to see it got what it deserved. Well done, my friend, well done. A very cool theme this week for sure. Another top 500 here from Kristen. Rank 493. Well done, well done. Great pose for Flynn, great pose for Donald. You have the lurking creatures. Great pose for the avatar. Craig did end up getting 4K for their Sword in the Stone snap. I'm glad you went with this one with the owl, kind of like right next to Merlin. The angle for the owl is fantastic on this one. Zombies ended up getting 25. Which is too bad because this one I think is a really beautiful snap. It is very unique. It is very unique. It's not like any of the jungle snaps. It's not like any of the night wall snaps. It does deliver the theme. Like we can clearly see the ancient relic here. We see the untold lurking creatures. My only guess for this one is potentially it could have just been the fact that there's a lot of really good snaps out there, and if you could have popped up against some of the very strong snaps like some of the other players we saw, and they might have just resonated with some of those outfits, or sorry, not outfits. They might have resonated with some of those concepts more. But yeah, I could definitely see this getting 4K. some of the other submissions out there as well, I think we're able to put a bigger focus on the villagers for storytelling. Or they had like a buddy adventuring with them, like Safari Donald or Flynn. And then they had the threats kind of in the back as well. So I guess if you're up against certain storytelling elements, it could be tough. But like I said, it's very unique. And that could go either way. It's kind of like a high risk, high reward scenario. When you make something that's on theme, but a little bit more outside of the box, if you get the right voters, it could be very well received, and it could end up in the top 100. If you don't, and the voters you end up getting kind of vibe more with the Sword in the Stone Night Castle Wall scenes, or the Dragon Incense Burner in the jungle type of scenes, then it might end up costing you 4K, and it's hard to predict exactly which of those two scenarios are going to happen, because we never know what kind of voters we're going to get. Beautiful snap, though. Very fun. Definitely could have gotten 4K. Oh, good. Senpai Lin did end up getting 4K for the one facing away. And not only 4K, but top 500. I did mention, if you are going to face away, having an outfit that like has a really cool feature on the back here, I think could be really good. I love the little travel bag here. You featured your Fabled Relic really well. You have great villager presence. And I love the foreground here. This is what I mean when I was talking about how important foreground is. Imagine this photo without these birds of paradise, without this fern, without this vine. Wouldn't feel quite the same at all. Really good job. Really good job. Oh, the one with the fence here actually ended up doing pretty good. So Rebecca took a risk with a humor snap. For their Fabled Relic, they utilized the stone fence from Storybook Veil, because they're like looking directly at it like, oh, look at that. So it's a really fun joke. The risk I talked about with this one is that not everybody's going to get it. A vast majority of the Dreamlight Valley player base actually isn't on Facebook or in Discord. They just play the game on the side. They're not really part of the conversations, right? They're not going to be in on the fact that this item is super rare, so they might not get the joke. The reason you, I would say, ended up getting a good rank, getting 2,500 Moonstones, is because a lot of people did. And as we mentioned in your review, you have good lighting, good avatar design. So there's a lot of things you're doing really well here. But I think what we see here is the result of the potential risks we discussed, right? Typically, what's going to perform best in a Dreamsnap challenge is a very clear take on the theme. That there's no room for debate or confusion about what your angle is. And that's the difficult thing with some humor-based snaps. People have to understand the joke for it to work. If you were fortunate enough, you might get, maybe every voter you end up getting does understand the concept here. But it's kind of a dice roll. You know, you don't know if that's going to happen. So you can always go for it and see if your luck pays off or not. Which is why when it comes to the advice I give, because the main thing we're trying to do is just make sure people get 4K. And that's why my big advice typically is playing it safe, making things extremely clear, extremely obvious. Like with everything we have going on here, you know, it's super clear that this is our Fabled Relic. We have our untold lurking creatures. We have lots of storytelling elements. But at the end of the day, you know, it was a good photo. It had good lighting. I think the joke's really funny, and I would likely vote for it. But if you pop up against snaps where, you know, the relic is a bit more clear and definable, other people might not understand why the fence is here. So it's tricky. It's tricky. It was a good snap, though. I'm glad it still got 25. You know, 2,500 is... That still puts you in, like, the top 10% of all snaps. So, yeah, very well done. Very well done. We got a rank 56 here. Very nice. The gold cornucopia is their relic here. Lots of good beauty elements here, like the Raya ensemble. Oh, Courtney did end up getting 4K here. Rank 1,500 for the purple dress. Glad it worked out. Glad it worked out. As we mentioned, you know, when reviewing the snap, the risk is that, you know, so with the challenge saying get adventurous, and what you'll see in the top 3, like everybody's wearing the adventurer outfit, so that was the most competitive way to play the challenge. But you also had a really good beauty factor here. I actually like this one more than your adventurous one, just because it didn't look as good with the scene. So I think even if you did go with the adventure outfit, it would have ranked lower than this, because you had originally built this scene for this outfit. So I'm glad it still worked well. I have seen a lot of these dresses in the 2,500 and 1,500 range as well, though, so it could go either way, but at least for your scene, you tied the colors in really well, and you featured your relic, which is the most important thing. Another top 500 here. Very good. Breezy, 9 weeks of 4K. Well done, well done. I didn't see a lot of people using the Iago statue, so I really like that you did that. Top 1,000 here for Jennifer. Good job, good job. Sweet Dreamer Casey, another top 500. We got a lot of top 500s in here. Crystal, 10 weeks of 4K. Congratulations. I just subbed to your Twitch channel last week, so I'm new to posting here, but I've been watching your lives and videos for some time now. Nice. Well, great job, Crystal. Great job. Congrats on the beautiful 10 weeks of getting 4K. Very consistent. Seems like you have a very, very good understanding of Dream Snaps. Scuttle, rank 1103. Good job, good job. I like the backdrop a lot here. Very cool. Lilo got 2,500 here. Not sure of the exact rank. Very close to 4K. I will say, though, this is the very end of an update. Depending on your rank, this would have been 4K if there were more submissions. Clinksy, rank 2844. Very nice. Rank 79 here. Top 100. Very good shot of Scar. We see the Dragon Incense Burner again. Very popular this week. Very popular. Great item. I actually really like the blue orb, but I didn't want to use it because it is very... It takes up a lot of room. That orb does. I mean, Samantha Beyblade here got top 500 with it, so it can definitely work. I ended up going with the Grail at the end of the day. Oh, very nice here. Rank 104. Yeah, adding in the extra vines, I think is great. Really good pose, too. Really good pose. Beast looks really good. You got your untold lurking creature. You got your greenery. You got your plants crawling. You have your fabled relic. You check all the boxes here. Oh, nice, Plum Bob. I knew this one was going to do good. I love this snap. I kept coming back to it as an example. So top 300 here, rank 275. I love that you got the snake down here, too. You did so good with this. I love the avatar style, too. The pants you chose with this top is just really cool. Fantastic work. Ooh, look at the fog here. Using the blue smoke. Nice surprised expression on the avatar for the relic here. This is so cool. Love that. Love that. Dreamy Luna. 2,500 moonstones, a little disappointed, she says. Well, we did kind of talk about this with your review. Using something so big here as your relic, it really disrupts your scene visibility. You have a good outfit, and you did the theme, which is why you still got 2,500. I think you should definitely not be disappointed. I think this got right around what it deserved to get, and that's not like a jab or anything. I'm saying this feels right for 2,500. This puts you in the top 10% of all snaps. You beat 90% of other players. I'm not sure why we'd be disappointed with that. You should be very happy with how this did. But having a very large relic like this on a table, you can see it makes it a lot more difficult to really see our villagers off to the side here. You got good lighting. There's a lot of things you did really well. But you kind of have to look at the snaps that are in 4K, right? And look at how, you see how the relic here is still very noticeable, but it's not like taking up a large portion of the scene. That's going to kind of be the norm here. That's going to be what we see with almost all of these relics. You're going to see these, you know, smaller relics or these orbs that we can clearly see around. Good job here, Kira, rank 352. And the other thing you're going to see is, you know, you see how you have Scar kind of standing behind you with the angry expression. I want you to think about what the 4K, a lot of the 4K players are doing with Scar, right? Look at this. Instead of having Scar just kind of standing a few feet behind you with the angry look, you could have used the jungle gateway, and then you could have had green smoke and Scar coming out of it. This is the difference between a 2,500 Moonstone Dream Snap and a 4,000 Moonstone Dream Snap. It's the amount of strategy you put into it. Like, what kind of things can I do to really impress the voter? The fact that you had good lighting, you did the theme, and you included villagers is exactly why you got 2,500 Moonstones. That should be a victory for you, Dreamy. That should be something to celebrate. The fact that you're disappointed kind of tells me you might not understand that there's some pretty big levels to climb here. You shouldn't be expecting 4K just by default if you're somebody that kind of fluctuates with ranks. Against the right thing, this could get 4K. But also, you know, like I said, it's a very big item for your relic. There's definitely things you could have done more competitively. And then the table, the mushroom table. You know, the mushroom table is something that would kind of grow in an environment. I think it's going to be a safer idea to feature your relic on like some kind of stand that looks like it was designed for it, because the relic has been stored there for like thousands of years, right? So you should be very proud that you got 2,500 here. That means you beat roughly 90% of players. And I think that's right where this should be. Continue learning, continue growing, continue looking at what does well, and you will eventually be, landing in that 4K range more consistently. But I think that's very reasonable here. It's a great snap. It got a great rank. You're taking home 2,500 moonstones. But the snaps that are getting 4K, look, you really got to look at your snap and look at the snaps that voters are choosing en masse that we see very commonly in 4K. Look at the level of detail. Look at the level of thought. Look at how they have their creature actually lurking. Untold lurking creature. That's why Scar's sneaking up. We have these foggy elements. We have a lot of jungle vines kind of hanging down. We have companions with the snake here. Right? These are the kind of things you're going to see in that 4K range. Like Sully coming out of the fog in the back. Flynn stuck in a spider web. Jafar pondering this relic in the background. Gaston facing off with Scar. So, I wouldn't be too disappointed, right, with 2,500 because that's still really good. What you have to remember is that to be in the 4,000 moonstone range, that's very competitive, especially now. Only 4.5% of snaps can be there. So not everybody can fit in that range. And a lot of the snaps in that range are going to be very competitive snaps to make sure they stay in that range. And if you pop up against those snaps, it's just going to be tough. It's going to be tough to win the vote against them. Unless you put more strategy and concept into your snaps. So not only is 2,500 moonstones good for this, but instead of being a little disappointed, I would be kind of excited about what you can learn here. How can you continue to grow? How can you continue to get even better? Because this is really good. 2,500 moonstones is really good. I would advise against expecting 4K simply for having good lighting and doing the theme. You got to look at all these other amazing snaps, and you got to understand, if I pop up against those, if those are my 1v1 opponents, I'm probably not going to get 4K. Now, if you can, really accept that, you can start saying, well, what can I do to compete with them? What can I do to beat these snaps if I pop up against them? Because you're doing a lot of things really, really well here. But what we see with most of these Untold Relic snaps is the relic not taking up so much room. Like this bottom 25% or so of your photo, this whole bottom corner is the relic scene. The vase is really big. And you see what kind of stole the show here were smaller relics featured towards the front of the scene, or things like the sword and the stone. But there were a lot of things you can do there. Again, a lot of things you did very well here, which is why you got 2,500 instead of 1,500 or 1,200. So you should be proud, not disappointed. Kimberly said my main 9187 for my Hermione and Sorcerer's Stone made me a tiny bit sad. 2,500 moonstones. So this is really cool. It's a really cool concept, Kimberly. But this is why I recommend caution when you're doing a cosplay or storytelling something outside of the Disneyverse. I don't think everybody's going to get it. I don't think I would have figured out that's what you were doing here, to be honest. I don't think I would have. I see it now because you said it in the comment. You said the Sorcerer's Stone was the idea here. And now I'm like, oh yeah, that's why you have Merlin, and that's why you have the Cerberus puppy. okay. So, like, once you say it, I could get it. But if this popped up in voting, I'll be totally honest, I don't think I would have guessed Hermione. I don't think I would have guessed Sorcerer's Stone. The issue here is, since we're finding fabled relics, this feels almost more like you're finding riches. It feels more like treasure than it does like an ancient relic. And it's tricky, you know. It's a fun direction for your theme, you know. I like the idea. I like the idea. I think it's really cool. But this is also why, when it comes to getting 4K, I recommend just completely focusing on the theme itself. And I don't like incorporating outside concepts into my theme. Like, I don't want to try to force the Sorcerer's Stone to become a fabled relic. It's not. You know, even in Harry Potter lore, you know, or at least I don't think I would qualify it as such. Could be, I guess. But with, like, the jungle walls and the jungle setting, like I said, I can see the elements here, but I probably wouldn't be able to guess that's what you're going for. If we could attach a sentence to our snaps and you were able to tell voters that's what this was, I bet you it would have got 4K because it's a fun concept. But you can't do that. You can't define your snap for people. And this is why every week, what I recommend, if you want to get 4K, if you want the best shot at 4K, make the theme so obvious that it's literally impossible to not understand it. Like, make it to where, you know, a baboon with amnesia can figure out that this is fabled relics. The more clear and direct you can make your theme, the easier it's going to be to win over more voters. And then if you could do that while making sure your snap is beautiful, because this is really beautiful. You know, it's very pretty. I think the only thing that held this back was people that didn't really understand it. Yeah, it was a cool snap. It's too bad. 2500 still really good, though. And that's probably why you still got 2500, because it is so beautiful. So it's great. Great that you had a beautiful snap. Willow here, I think, just had unfortunate luck. This one is really pretty. On a 9-week 4K streak, but they got 2500 here. And they actually got a really good 2500 rank. They got ranked 8500. So a lot of weeks that would have been 4K. So very close to 4K for yours, Willow. I definitely think it could have gotten 4K if you popped up against the right things, for sure. Tough thing here is, with how close your wall is, you don't get to play up depth of field as much. So you're not going to be able to impress the voter quite as much as some other snaps. And then for your environment here, it feels like a lot of flowers and like some of the small decor items. Since you're in the jungle temple, I do think more jungle plants could have been good here. Like, if you look at a lot of the jungle snaps that perform very well, they have the tangled ombre bushes, they have the big vines, they have the tropical jungle plants, the tall jungle plant, they have the thorny vines. And again, this is why I say you don't need a ton of space for your snap, but if you had given yourself a little bit more room, just a little bit, I think you could have fit in a pathway. And that's also why one thing I talk about a lot for my snaps here, Willow, is form and function. Instead of taking this area that I created for this snap and filling it with plants, we created a walkway behind us that goes directly to the temple. Then there's a walkway that goes directly to this gate and a walkway that goes directly to this gate. Sure, the walkways are kind of overgrown with plants, but this is a long-lost realm, so it should be that way, right? But having those walkways can be really good to kind of structure your environment. So it's something you can think about in the future. And you can definitely still get 4K building this close. Like I said, if you popped up against the right things, this would have gotten 4K. But that's why I'm always talking about making your snap even more competitive. because you never know which weeks you're going to pop up against really good snaps and which weeks you're going to pop up against easy snaps to beat. This, I think, this is better than some stuff I've seen in 4K, to be honest. It's a very solid snap. It does very good with the theme. It has a good avatar, which is expected from somebody that was on a 9-week streak. So it's very expected that you would have made a good snap because you've been getting 4K for the past, 2.5 months. So, of course, this snap is good. But that ties directly into the fact that I'm always telling you guys the advice that we're giving, it's not always going to matter. There's plenty of weeks where you can ignore the advice I give and still get 4K. But on certain weeks, if you do end up popping up against really good snaps, having these extra competitive effects is going to help you make your snap more likely for 4K. It's going to give you a safer chance. There wasn't a lot you needed to do differently here. So all I would really recommend in the future is, if you wanted to make a scene like this even more competitive, I would probably make the makeup a little bit less defined, do a more natural hair color. Since we're traveling through the jungle, I don't think we need to dye our hair yellow and orange. Just a very natural kind of explore feel. That's why we did very light makeup. That's why we kept praising light makeup. And that's why you see almost everybody has a very natural hairstyle. Think about those Indiana Jones movies. Think about the female explorer architect. What do they archetype? What do they look like? What's their hair look like? Usually they have their hair pulled back because they're on the go. They're usually not dyeing their hair like, crazy colors because they're busy exploring the world. They're busy traveling through jungles, right? So if you look at most players this week, you'll see the way they customize their avatar. They're not playing up a lot of makeup. They don't have bold yellow eyeshadow. They don't have funky colors in their hair. So this is one small thing I think that could have made your snap more competitive. That's just one. The other thing would be most of your mid-ground here is like pocket items. You have a lot of different types of flowers. You have a lot of glowing moss. But there were a ton of different items we recommended for this challenge that were going to work really good for your mid-ground and your foreground. Like, you see how you have the big root arches? These big jungle vines? I'm surprised you didn't use the ones that are smaller. The ones that crawl across the ground. Like, these are really good. And then for the jungle scenes, I recommended many, many times the tropical plants, the jungle plants, the plants from the Wild Tangle, just how well they work. Then we talked about pocket items like the grubby log. There were some really great things you could have used. Like I said, it's a good snap. I think against the right things, it definitely could have got 4K. But there are, for sure, some things you could have done to make this more competitive. I think, in particular, the avatar design might be one of the biggest things. And then what I would say next is kind of a more defined walkway. And a tiny bit more space in the scene where you can feature... You can actually showcase Scar lurking a bit more so he's not right on top of you. Overall, it was a solid snap, though. It's too bad it ended your streak because it was good. It was good. That's just how it goes sometimes, though. Wow. That's unfortunate for this one. Heather says, I only got 1,500 this week. Anything I could have done differently? Yeah, there's one... Where to go? There's something I talked about in your review. And then when we did your secondary review, Heather, unfortunately, it was still an issue. Dree, thank you for the tier 2 resub. Let's go. Much appreciated. So what we discussed was this area right here. You added Scar in, and even on your second review, I still said you have opportunity here. and it looks like you never decided to do anything differently with it. So leaving these empty areas empty, you don't want to put anything big enough to cover Scar, but you also don't want to just leave it as empty grass. So what you could have done here is you could have used antelope skulls. You could have done a little paved walkway of the sun-baked path. You have the garden stones. These are like perfect here. You could have had a trail of garden stones coming from here to the relic. So when I reviewed your snap, I was like, hey, you got opportunity here. That doesn't mean you have to add tall plants, but like, why not garden stones? Another thing I talk about all the time, Heather, and hopefully now that you're seeing your results here, hopefully this will kind of stick with you. Avoid this type of grass. I talk about this every week because every week I see people in the Ancient Island, in the Forest of Valor Island. I don't know if you're in one of your DLC biomes, but if, you know, you can build this exact same scene on a floating island and you can have way better grass. Look at the grass here, right? This is the meadow. Guys, if you're going to feature tropical green colors, you're going to feature jungle colors, even if you're going to make a pine forest, if you're doing anything outdoors where you're going to show the grass, avoid these biomes with this horrible, tall, dark grass. I say that every week. I recommend that people avoid these places. Sure, you'll see a few of them in the 4K range, but most of the snaps in the 4K range, and most of the top earning players, the top ranking players, like when you think of Marmaduke's, Beyblade, Sunshine, you're going to see these players are almost always using the same grass, the meadow grass. Why? That's the question. And also, more importantly, why does this grass consistently rank so much better? Well, that's easy. But that's the real question. The reason why, look at your garden stones. We can hardly see them. Instead of actually seeing, I think those are garden stones. I honestly can't even tell because of the grass. Instead of actually seeing your pathway here, what we see are these like just dark juts of color that don't even really feel like grass. It's not your fault. It's just the way Game Loft designed this grass. It looks horrible to me and to many others. Look at the green of the jungle plants. You see the tangled ombre bush, how it has this beautiful light green and this like yellow hue? Then look at these other tropical plants. Lush green. Now look at the grass. Completely different shade. But when you look at the meadow grass, it's the same type of green. It feels more natural in these environments, which is why week after week after week, you know, we see the same recommendation. That's likely why here in Mama Duke's snap, they've completely paved to get rid of all the grass. And they added their own grass. They added beach grass, which is a much lighter shade of green. Because if they didn't pave this area, that jagged, dark grass is going to ruin a lot of the details at the base of this shot. So, in the future, Heather, I would recommend always building any kind of nature or outdoor or temple. If you're showing the grass, the meadow and plaza grass is a lot more tame. It's a lot more manageable. And if you want tall grass, and if you're like, oh, but the meadow doesn't have like a jungle vibe, well, make one. That's the thing. If you want tall plants, you can just add those yourself. Nobody needs to use the Forest of Valor grass. It just genuinely doesn't look good. And by the way, that also includes the Ancient's Landing grass, any of the tall, unruly grass. If you want a lot of plants, just add a lot of plants. If the grass in those environments looked better, I would say go for it, but it looks really bad, and it makes it to where you can't see garden stones. Okay, think about this. If this picture were in the Forest of Valor, we wouldn't see this skull at all. This grass right here would be all over it, covering the whole skull, covering the bones. And then we wouldn't see, we would have all these dark pieces of grass shooting through. Like, this would be so tall that we couldn't see the garden stones here. We wouldn't be able to see these garden stones here. Scar would have grass probably shooting all through him. We'd have grass shooting through Gaston's feet. So, I avoid, and I say this a lot, so, take it to the bank. I avoid the meadow. I avoid the forest. I avoid the Forest of Valor. I avoid the Ancient Island. Unless you have some kind of really deep reason for using it. That's why we can't really see your pathway, your garden stones here. And you never followed through on the advice we gave to add a pathway here. The last thing for your snap is for your adventurer. I think there's definitely ways you could have you could have styled your outfit a bit better. Like a Mickey Mouse shirt. Not really the best for an adventurer, right? A Mickey Mouse t-shirt. There's outfit options that are going to feel a bit more convincing. Right? Like this one, we have this white shirt with the little leather strap here. And then we have the gold coin medallion to show that she's kind of a seeker of relics. We've added a lot of detail into the avatar to make that clear. For an element of danger, we've added in these gold dagger earrings. So we have all these elements on the avatar that play up the theme. Whereas in your snap, you're wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt, right? And this isn't just me. Look at Mama Dukes here. Notice how she doesn't have like a playful t-shirt on under this. We have a button down with the collar open. She's really playing up that Indiana Jones vibe. The last thing I would recommend here is, you got your snap reviewed. You watch my tip videos. What did I say about your pose? I see you're using the Pluto pose, which is something I recommended, but multiple times during the reviews and even in my YouTube guide, I said there's a specific point in this pose that you want to pause it. And you disregarded that as well. Now, the point we're talking about here, Heather, is the shocked expression. How many times during the reviews, while we discussed this challenge, how many times did I say showing an element of shock or surprise on your avatar's expression will be very competitive? If I had to guess how many times I said that, probably well over 100. Look at this. Look at how surprised Mama Dukes' character is. Hands are up. He's kind of taking a step back, right? The reason surprise is very important here is because this is not just a relic. This is not just some treasure. This is a fabled relic. An item of myth, of fable, of legend. It shouldn't even be real, and we just found it. That's why the surprise works so well. Look at this. Look at this. Right? A 4K snap here. Look at the avatar surprise. This is the evidence of what I was trying to tell you guys right here. Most of the snaps in the 4K range are showing that they found a fabled relic. They look surprised. So I said that so many times, but you left it out. You chose to not take that part of the advice. Maybe you forgot. Maybe you thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But this is a good learning opportunity for you, right? It's you are doing great to get 1,500 and 2,500. But if you want to get 4K, if you want a great shot at 4K, if you want to get 4K consistently, it's about strategy. It's not about time. It's not about putting 1,000,000 hours in your snap. It's about strategy. What part of the pose will have the best expression for this type of story? What types of villagers will be best for this type of scene? Which of these environments, like the meadow grass, is going to help me showcase my garden stones and my environment better? And lastly, what can I do? Well, actually, second from last. What can I do with these open, empty spaces here on the side of my scene? And what kind of outfit options can I wear that really highlight a person that would be willing to travel through the jungle to hunt down fabled relics? All of these things didn't really get addressed in this snap. And if you did those like 5 things, I think you could have locked in 4K. But, you know, this will happen. This will happen. So making your snap more competitive is very big. Now, I'm going to show you the part of the Pluto pose that I was recommending, because you did use Pluto, which is good, but I'm going to show you the exact part of the pose I was highly recommending here, so you know for the future. Because we want that surprise. You know, that's really important. We want the avatar to feel shocked, because it's a fabled relic, not just a little treasure trinket, not just a little item over here, but an item of fable. So making sure that the avatar kind of makes that clear to the voters is going to be really important. So let's go ahead into our game here. Yeah, Scylla, R2-D2's pose is also very good. Heather said, I feel like I'm not a child for being told off. I was trying so hard to pause the pose at the right time, but couldn't get it to look right. Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And no, you're not naughty, my friend. You're not naughty. I'm just trying to help it set in, so I don't want you to miss again. I don't want you getting 1,500. I want you getting 4K. And with how well you're doing certain things, I know you can do it. I know you have what it takes to get 4K every week. It just comes down to whether or not you remember these different avenues of an approach and why they're so important. It's really just understanding why they matter so much. Because the dream snaps are just very competitive. Some weeks, they might not matter. If you pop up against the right stuff, some weeks, you might be just fine. Like the snap you did could have gotten 4K on the right week. But you don't want to rely on that. You don't want to, you know, just say, here's my snap, let's hope I pop up against the right things. No. Instead, you can set things up to where, and the Pluto pose that we're talking about, I saw, I think Scylla said Pluto can be a bit of a pain. Guys, it's really, really easy to do the Pluto pose. I don't know what you guys are talking about. What I'm about to show you, if you follow these steps, now if you don't have me showing you how to do it, it might be hard to figure out on your own, but I'm literally handing over the exact way to do this to you. Like, if you're capable of following very basic instructions, you can definitely do this. It's just, are you willing to rewind the stream or rewind a video and go back to that part of the video and then watch that while you try to do the pose? Or are you just winging it? Are you just like, I'll give it a try, I'll see if I can do it? My guess is that for a lot of people, they're just winging it. They know I mentioned that there's a certain part of the pose you can do, but they don't go back and say, well, let me see exactly what Senpai did. That way I can just recreate it. They basically just give up on it. They try to do it, and then they're like, well, I can't get it to look like Senpai had it, but whatever. Probably doesn't matter that much. Oh, yeah? All right. That's it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to get way too close to our item that pushes the camera. You see where I am? Follow this step by step for the surprise Pluto expression. Again, this is really easy if you follow the steps. But if you don't want to rewind the video or you don't want to go back to the YouTube video guide and see how it's done, yeah, it might be really hard for you to figure it out. It just comes down, but like I do not see a world in which this is somehow complicated or hard if you follow the steps. You guys, if you're able to use Twitch, if you're able to type coherent sentences in chat, you can do this. I fully believe that. It just comes down to, are you willing to go watch somebody do the steps? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get really close, as you can see here. See how close I am? My eyes come to the top of the scene. Now what we're going to do is we're in selfie mode. We're just going to turn to the right. That's it. So we take the selfie. We turn this way. Now you go back to portrait mode. You activate the Pluto pose. We just paused it. Okay, Pluto is active and it's paused. So the moment, let me show you again. Pluto, pause. Okay. Once we're paused, we're just going to hide Pluto. All that's left now is to just unpause it and pause it when she looks surprised. That's it. That's it, guys. That's it. That's what people are saying is hard to do or confusing. So, unpause, and there we go. Happens in about 2 seconds. That's all there is to it. It's not complicated. It's not hard. Now, if you don't have the step-by-step, if you don't have me showing you exactly that you got to turn to the right, you got to get close. Like, if you don't have those things, yes, it is hard. Because then you got to figure that out all on your own. You got to try from back here, and then you try from back here, and you're like, wait, no, that's not right. And then you get too close, and you're like, wait, no, that's not right. And then you turn to the left, and you're like, no, that's not right. So yeah, if you don't have me telling you exactly how to do it, or another creator like Sarah or Star and Sky or Brandy or anybody else, if no one's walking you through how to set this up, then yes, it is hard to do. But I spent so much time last week in my Thursday YouTube guide, during the reviews. I stopped what I was doing so many times and showed exactly how to do this so many times. I'm telling you, it's really not hard. It's really not. The thing is, I know you guys can do this. That's why I'm so stubborn about it. That's why I keep reiterating that it's not hard, it's not challenging, because I can't accept that. I know you guys are capable of doing this. I know you're smart enough. I know you're talented enough. It's just, are you having enough fun with Dreamsnaps to really think this matters, or to at least try to make it work? So what you can do is you can go back to my YouTube video, like when you're setting up your scene, and you can be like, well, how did somebody set it up? Because I can't get it to work. And if you watch how I set it up, it'll just show you exactly how to do this. It's so easy. But without going back and watching it, I think what happens is people were like, oh, Senpai had a really good pose with Pluto. I'm going to try that. And then they just use Pluto, and they're like, that's not right. Maybe I need to do this, and then I go here, and then I use Pluto. No, that can't be it. It looks like I gotta turn this way, maybe. And then, like, okay, so then Senpai was like, hide Pluto. There we go. Okay, we did it. I finally got it. Jeez, that was a lot of work. And you've already been messing around with it for a while. So as soon as you get this, you're like, oh, thank goodness, she's reaching for it. That's perfect. And that's the problem. If you're not experienced with this pose, if you're not willing to go back to the guide and see how to set it up to get the surprise, because the whole reason we use Pluto, the entire reason we use this pose is not for the reaching. There's a ton of poses that can have you reach for something. The entire purpose of the Pluto pose, the entire reason I recommended it to you guys, is because of the surprise. That was mentioned in the video like multiple times. There were 2 poses that were going to work really, well, more than 2, but these were my 2 favorite recommendations. The Pluto pose and the R2 pose. Both look very surprised, but there are other options. I mean, right here, Mama Dukes is using a completely different part of the Pluto pose that we didn't talk about. So there's other poses you can use to show surprise. But if you want to be competitive, if you're trying to, if you're using a certain pose, ask yourself why that pose. And the answer was given to you. The answer was given to you on the video. It said the reason we're using this pose is because it has a really good surprise element. So choosing to use this pose without the surprise, it throws away the best part of using that pose, the whole reason, the whole purpose. So that's why we are recommending that pose in the first place. And again, I'm not trying to be too hard on anybody. You're not a problem child. You're not in trouble. You're not being punished. I just want you to get 4K. And if you're not used to a certain pose or strategy, like if you haven't really messed with it before, if you take, you know, a couple minutes to like pick up your phone and go back to that YouTube video and just rewind it, or find the part of the video where, you know, we showcase this, or you can just show up in the stream and say, Senpai, how did you do that portion of the Pluto pose where she looks surprised? How did you get that? You know, how did you get that surprised look on her face? You can just ask. But my advice here is just don't settle. You know, don't just... If we're using a specific pose for a specific emotion, don't just settle for another part of that pose. If you're having a hard time getting it to work, find answers. Find solutions. You can ask. You can go back to other videos. But I would say that's probably one of the bigger things there. Probably one of the bigger things. Yeah, that's also an option. Amanda, that is so funny. I'm literally using a controller. Amanda said, he's not giving console or Switch users help by showing how stuff is done on PC. Oh my God, bro. What a Karen. Are we serious right now? Are we actually serious? Are we serious, bro? What do you mean? I'm on a controller. Just ask me, dude. Ask me. How do you do this on Switch? It works the same. Bro, don't yell at me. I'm gonna. I'm on a controller. I also have the game on Switch too. I could literally stream it on Switch if you want. I can show you. Katie says, is the Dreamlight Valley Twitch drop still active? No, sadly not, Katie Bird. If you did not get your Wreck-It Ralph bed, it might be gone. So yeah, the drops ended. The drops ended. Mods, go ahead and get rid of this weirdo. Can we get rid of this weirdo, mods? That person is weird. I think they are just a troll. Very strange individual. Thank you, Samantha. Yeah, I don't have time for, like, absolutely idiotic comments, to be honest. And being like, he's doing all of this on a PC, so he's not helping anybody on console, while I'm literally playing with a controller. So, and if you are on a Switch 2, guess what? The joystick still does the same thing. You still have the same commands. Nothing changes. Most people are smart enough to realize that. So if somebody joins my stream and they're not smart enough to realize that, I don't want to engage with them. I'm pretty sure that person is literally just a troll. So there are some people that are just very unhappy and they will find streams really just to be as rude as possible. And I am not somebody that sugarcoats things. I am not Mr. Nice Guy. If you come into my stream trying to be a jerk for no reason, I'm going to blatantly tell you exactly what you are. And in this case, not very smart. Okay. All right. Anyway, yeah, that's how you do it on PC, you guys. Screw you if you're not on PC. You'll never figure it out. And that's how it works. So yeah, finding out how to get those expressions, how to get those, what makes the pose worth using, what makes it strong, is the expression there. Yo, Fim, thank you. Let's go. Much appreciated. Fim Fatale coming in with the tier 3. Also, 3 months advance on the tier 3. Very kind of you. Very kind of you. So, Fim Fatale, very big help here. We're moving forward for the tier 2 for the Plus program. I got to refresh. I don't even know where we're at right now. But I mean, we're already well over 100 points. We're already well over 100 points for Tier 2 for the month of August, and we're 5 days in and a third of the way there, which is awesome. Just saw the VOB about the tiers, wanted support. Oh, well, yeah, thank you. That's super helpful, Fim. That's super helpful. Like I said, right now, Twitch takes 40% of my sub revenue, so we're making the push to get back up to where they're only taking 30%. And the Tier 3 is a very, very generous contribution towards that, so thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. Somebody said, if you play consoles, screw you. Somebody said that, not me. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you don't have, like, $1,500 to buy a PC right now, I don't respect you. Apparently. Nah, you guys, you know the drill. If you guys... Kind of like when we were showing... Remember when I was teaching you guys how to do the crouch camera option? When I was teaching you guys how to put the camera on the ground? And we had people asking, how do I do this on Switch? How do I do this on Xbox? How do I do this on PlayStation? And I literally took the time to tell you every single one of the button combinations you would need to do for every platform. All you gotta do is ask. All you gotta do is ask. Anytime you're not sure... But everything I'm doing on here, you can do as well. Hey, thank you, Leo. Let's go. Much appreciated. Zinnia says, once again,
thank you, Senpai,
thank you,
for
my
your
friend. Thank
streams. I had no mood and no time for the DS last week, so I watched your stream, made a quick snap and got into top 500.
Dang, let's go. Top 500 for a quick snap? Congratulations. That's quite an achievement, my friend. And thank you very, very, very much for the 1,000 bits. That is also very kind. Very kind. And y'all drop some love here for Xenia. I'm happy to hear it worked out so well for you. That's awesome. Speaking of that trick, can anyone tell me which video that was in, the crouch one? Look for the guide video for Forested Book Nook. Forested Book Nook. So, we talked about how this approach was going to be extremely popular for Forested Book Nook. So, if you go to that video, you'll see a breakdown on it. But we also brought it up on stream a few days ago and kind of broke it down there as well. Lullaby says, I was having such a horrible day. LMAO, this is awesome. The book one. Yep, the book one. You got it. Good memory. We need YouTube shorts of the important Dreamsnap things like crouches and gathering people. That's actually a really, really good idea. The only question, if I did do something like that, Samantha, I'm probably just only going to make a guide for PC players, though, because, like, I don't really care about anybody else. And, like, the stuff I do on here, it only works on a computer. So, yeah, I'll probably make a guide just for people on PC that doesn't work for anybody else. That's what we're going to do. So yeah, I'm sure PC players would love those videos. I'm sure they would love that. We'll definitely get that out for my PC friends right away. Also, it literally shows on my screen that I'm on a controller. Like, it shows controller commands, so I don't even know how they know I'm on PC. That's weird. Can you do it on mouse instead? No controller, please? Like this? Like, just a mouse? Like, no keyboard either? Joke's on you, I have a Switch and PC. Well, that means I respect you. So, that's actually good. That's actually good. As long as you have some kind of computer, I care more. Nah, I love console, actually. If I didn't get into content creation, I probably would have just stayed with console gaming. I am glad I switched to PC about 7 years ago, though, because I do love Steam. I love Steam. So I've just grown very fond of PC. And there are a lot of games I will only play on mouse and keyboard, but games like Dreamlight Valley, I think controller is just... It's just a controller vibe kind of game. I only have PlayStation. I'm the lowest of the low. Ew! Gross! Console players... Ew! Oh my gosh. Chewy said jumping in because I've been lurking. Oh my god. I'm not even gonna lie. That was actually really funny. That whole situation was actually really funny. The only reason I called for the ban from the mods on that one is as funny as the situation was, I do know letting them stay would have been annoying. Because, like, there are definitely some, you know, and she also, not only did they, like, you know, come after me, but they were also talking about the community, like, what a welcoming community. It's like, no, dude, you came in rude. No community is going to be welcoming to that. If you come into any community with an attitude and you start basically saying weird stuff for no reason, they're going to know you're a troll and they're not going to be accepting of you. That's every community. Unless it's a community of a bunch of, like, monks, like in, you know, like a bunch of Buddhist monks, and you come in trolling and they're just like, then they probably won't even type, so you just won't get a response at all. Ghost Girl, thank you for the hundo. Eyes, thank you for the hundo. But I gotta say, that was pretty funny. That was actually probably the funniest part of the stream. So I'm not mad. We actually don't get a lot of trolls, which is too bad, because as long as they're tasteful trolls, like that was a tasteful troll. The trolls I don't like are the people that just come in and start dropping like racial slurs or something. Like that's what pisses me off, is like when people do the attempted edgy humor where they're like, oh, I'm going to go in this guy's stream and I'm going to like make a joke about, you know, like sexism or like racism. It's like, dude, that's like grow up. Those are the only trolls I think that effectively offend me, because it's just like it's such a low form of humor that it literally makes me angry. When it comes to trolls just being rude for no reason, just saying really stupid stuff, it's usually a great opportunity for something funny to happen. We used to get a lot of trolls on Facebook, actually. So I got pretty used to it. Savvy Bear, thank you for the 300 bits as well. Thank you. I'm going to try that more often. Don't yell at me, says Ashley. About what? About what? We have our community trolls that we love. Yeah, like Rob. Like Rob or some of the others. Yeah, there are people that live here, literally, you know. Like, it's funny, because if Rob was saying the same stuff that that person was saying, it wouldn't have even been a ban. It would have just been like me laughing, be like, shut up, Rob. But, yeah, if it's somebody I don't know, I'm like, yeah, that's a little different. That's a little different. Shannon said, Sonya is A, check the lighting in your room. I'm not positive of your hair color. Have you rewatched any of your streams? B, you're grieving over the Aurora. Made me laugh at a time I really needed it. You were laughing at me crying about the Aurora? That's funny to you? Something Senpai loves is dead. It's so funny. I'm having a great day. Cry, Senpai. You know what? I don't appreciate that. I don't think that is a very nice thing to do or say. And I am not even going to acknowledge the first part of your statement. I am not even going to acknowledge it. Max, thank you for the nerds. Have you checked the new Pokemon update yet? No, but I do want to play it tomorrow if we can. I didn't get to make example scenes. I don't know how I'm going to make my Dreamsnap guide video with the kitten. It's going to be a headache. I also really want to go live early tomorrow because I want to play the Pokemon Go Spotlight Hour at like 6 o'clock. Shannon said I'm upset about the Aurora too, and you're awesome. I know you're just kidding. You're good, my friend. I wasn't being serious when I said you were being mean. Can I select these? Yeah, there's a Pokemon Go Spotlight Hour for a particular type of bird, the Delhi bird, that gives you extra Stardust. And they're also doing like a Stardust increase for that. And I want the Stardust. So I kind of want to play that event. And it's going to be from 6 to 7. So I kind of want to stream early tomorrow, but I also have to make the new video about the new challenge. And also, I know it's going to be really hard to make the new video because I have this wild kitten. She's napping right now. How would you recommend getting a shot of Aurora sitting down with the bird on her finger, just getting lucky, trapping and touch magic items? Yeah, since it's not a pose, you can activate Lunaires. That's pretty much it. You're going to have to trap them in an environment. I don't think that's one of her, like, emotive options. But I don't know. I'm only on PC, so I can't tell you. Nothing I say applies to console players, so I don't know. Can you fix the camera angle? There's a little... Yeah, I know, but I'm about to end the stream, so, you know, I'm not gonna... I mean, here, I guess, if you want to be needy. There you go. There you go. No, the green screen wasn't moved. The camera's been getting pushed around by the kitten. But yeah, Lunaris, sadly, it's really just going to be about getting the angle just right. So, or like trapping her and getting her to actually do it, since you can't actually toggle it. You can try placing her and putting her in idle animation and unlocking her. Okay. Sorry for making you crash out when I was pleasantly surprised because I didn't use premium items. I'm newer to the reviews history. Oh, no, dude, it wasn't just you. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, dude, this has been a thing long before you were here. I promise you. For the premium items, the whole, like, I'm surprised I did well with not having premium items. I've been hearing that every week from like 5 to 10 different people every week for like the past year. So, yeah, you do not need to apologize, Tori, because it is not just you. This is something that has been a thing for a really long time, which is why I went on a big rant about it, because I want to convince everybody that it's not something you absolutely need. And you shouldn't be surprised when your snap does well, simply because you're not using premium items. There's so many snaps. It just comes down to the thought you put into your scene. It comes down to concept. If anything, sometimes snaps without premium items can do even better, than snaps with premium items, because people can get really creative about how they still deliver the theme without these items that a lot of other people are using. I said, don't worry, guys, I'm making crash out daily. Yeah, that's true. Throws popcorn out of bucket, puts on head as I'm laughing so much, says Zuli. Well, that's good. That's good. But don't waste your popcorn. I don't have an arcade machine, Shannon. I don't know quite what you're talking about there. Pancakes said, do drops automatically go to our mailbox after their claim? Thank you. Yeah. They are supposed to. They are supposed to. You got to restart your game, and then you should have mail. If they don't show up, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your... If you turn your game off and back on, and the drops still aren't there, even though you've claimed them, go to the Twitch drops page, unlink your accounts, count to 10, and then relink them with your game closed. And then they might show up that way. I mean, I didn't use Flynn in his surprise pose, and I still got rank 200. As always, guys, clever utilization of your villagers is what's strong. It doesn't have to be a specific type of pose. Like, for example, for Flynn, like we see it here, right? But this one, it's not like this elevated, this snap enough to get it out of the 15. We see it here in standard rank around 4,490. And then in mine, we actually have Flynn stuck in spiderweb. It's not just the Flynn pose, it's your villagers in general. So it's not any one specific pose that was going to make your snap stronger. It's just making sure you're actually putting poses on your characters. Essentially, you don't just want to place Flynn and have him doing his regular idle animation. You want all of your villagers to be doing something that matters. Which is why we have the angry expression on Sully as he comes out of the fog. We have the angry expression on Scar. We have the angry expression on Gaston, who's about to face off with Scar. We have the celebrating expression on Timon. We have the confused expression on Pumbaa as we have the angry expression on Flynn, and he's stuck in the spider web. So Flynn's pose like this is popular in a lot of snaps because it's very animated. It's not just this week. It's not any week in particular. It depends on your scene and what you're trying to communicate. But Flynn is far from the only, good option for the poses. There's a lot. There's a lot that you can do there. I mean, there's plenty of snaps with no villagers. Plumbob just has the lions. No Flynn, rank 275. So Flynn's not really any stronger than other villagers. Safari Donald's really popular, but there's plenty of shots that don't have him. Like this one isn't using Flynn's happy pose, and it's in the top 80 snaps. But it's still good. It's still a good Flynn pose. Donald, he's doing the discussion pose. Donald is doing the thinking pose. They're trying to figure out this relic. Scar is creeping, right? So it's not any particular pose, guys. It's just making sure you're being clever and putting thought into how you present your villagers. So Flynn's excited pose here is no more valuable than other poses he does. It's just going to come down to what kind of story you're telling. Like for me, I would much rather have Flynn stuck in the spider web over here than, blocking my scene with the hand pose. It just depends on the structure of your scene. But voters will typically appreciate whatever you do, so long as there's some thought put into how you present your villagers. That doesn't have to be any one type of pose in particular. That's why there's plenty of snaps out there with Flynn where he's not doing that, where they still get an amazing rank, if that makes sense. Flynn, in general, is just a really strong villager for this challenge because it's a challenge about adventure, and he's an adventurer as well. He's a rogue. So a rogue is an archetype that's going to be very popular on adventure. So Flynn is just good. Can I just return to the title and then go back to the game or close the whole game? Pancakes, I would just close the whole game to be on the safe side, but, that's up to you. You can always try the easy way first, and if it doesn't show up, then you can try the hard way. Okay, you guys. Yeah, tomorrow I'll probably be live a bit earlier. Because I do... Like I said, I want to do that Pokemon Go event. So, since we typically stream for about 3 to 4 hours. But I also want to make that Dreamsnap guide. I don't know how I'm going to do that and go live early. And have the kitty in the room. That's gonna make it more complicated. So I think tonight I'll probably make some basic example scenes for the new challenge. I'll probably throw something together for the new challenge. And I might just rush out a video in the morning. I might just do something a bit easier, right? I might not edit it as much, because if you watch my weekly videos, the Dreamsnap tips videos, I usually heavily edit them, and there's all these shots of me thinking, and I might just leave that out this week. I might just do a scene where it just shows the title and I just talk about it. I might skip the editing. Would that be cool with you guys? It would be the same video with the same tips, just without the good editing. Would you be cool with that? Bell says skip the guide this week. I might. It depends. It depends on this little thing. If she's making it hard to record, I will skip it. If I can record, I'll just do a version without the editing, and I'll probably mention that at the beginning of the video, hey everybody, I got a crazy kitten, so I'm not going to be editing the video as much today. Here's a quick breakdown of the theme, blah 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 blah. Grace said, I don't care about the editing, I just need the tips. Well, you know me, I like my videos to be not only informative, but also like just fun to watch. I like eye candy in my videos, like cool scenes and pans and like, you know. But yeah, I think for tomorrow's YouTube guide, you guys, I'm gonna make it super basic. Like when I talk about the theme, it's literally just gonna be like all you're gonna see on the screen is gonna be this. Like the first 3 minutes after the intro is just going to be this screen right here. And instead of dragging the lines across it, I'm just going to like use my mouse. I'm just going to be like, look, you know, it's a harmonious blah, 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 blah. Here's this blah, blah, blah. Then I'll define things. So yeah, I'm just going to do an easier video this week. And who knows, maybe it'll do just as good and I can just like not edit them at all. Video of Coco and your voiceover. Yeah, we can just put Coco on there. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to skidoo. Yeah, PC only video. I'm going to, yeah, I'll do it. I'll basically make a Dreamsnap guide for tomorrow, specifically for PC players. So we'll have a guide out for the Dreamsnap challenge tomorrow. Only for people who play on PC though. So if you're, you know, don't bother watching tomorrow's Dreamsnap tip video if you're on Switch or Xbox or PlayStation, because, like, the tips won't work for you. It's not going to work for you guys. If you don't have, like, a $3,000 plus computer, nothing I say is going to matter, and I don't respect you. They just I missed it. What happened? Oh, we just had somebody trolling us earlier. Somebody was coming in, and I was like giving tips. Like, you know, we were going over snap results, and we were talking about how to. We were actually showing how to do the Pluto pose, and somebody came in the stream, and they were like, "He's doing this on PC, so this doesn't help anybody on console." And I'm like, "Bro, I'm literally using a controller. It's the same, and exactly what I'm doing works on console as well. Like, what are we?" I'm pretty sure the person was just, like, trying to get a rise out of us, but it was, like, actually really funny. We banned them anyway, because I don't like stupid people. But it's been funny ever since. It's been pretty funny ever since. It's probably going to be a long-running joke now in the stream. Probably going to be something that keeps coming up. Gamer selling, go buy a PC real quick. I mean, you should. You should. No one will believe you that you don't care about everyone playing. Magical Pirate, thank you for the raid, my friend. You came in right at the end of the day. We're actually going to double your raid and pass it to the next person. Thank you for the raid, my friend. That is very kind of you. That is very, very, very kind. Very kind. Your PC and your white rice. Yeah, we haven't talked about the white rice in a while. It's been a while. But yeah, thank you for the love, you guys. Big goal number 225 today. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. K-Murray said, trust me, eventually I will play on PC. Well, that's good, K-Murray. That's good. That means eventually I'll have respect for you. Crystal said, yeah, like you're saying, it's easier to pause on PC than controller. Well, I didn't even see that comment. What? Easier to pause. Like pause the pose? I'm always doing that on controller. It's actually easier to pause on controller than it is. It's easier on controller than it is on mouse and keyboard. Because on controller, all you gotta do is hit right trigger. That's all you have to do. On mouse and keyboard, you actually got to use your mouse and come down here and hit the pause button. So I would argue that it actually is a little bit harder to properly pause your avatar on mouse and keyboard because you actually have to move to it and press the button, whereas on this, it's literally one button. Dude, they had to be trolling. I didn't even see that comment. They had to be trolling. They absolutely had to be trolling. There's no way they were serious if they said that. There's no way they were serious. Yeah, that was definitely a troll. It's impossible that they were not. There's no way they could be serious about that. There's no way. Do I gotta have respect for using a Steam Deck? Yes. Because you can technically set up a mouse and keyboard. If you dock your Steam Deck, you can plug a mouse and keyboard into it. And Steam Deck is a handheld computer. It just runs on Linux. So yeah. Unless you're only playing on your your Steam Deck's controller pad, in which case you might as well be a console player, and I think you're stinky. No, I think that's it. I think we're done. I'm sad my chips and guac are gone. I love guac. I love guacamole. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, I'm just going to do a really easy video tomorrow. I'll probably make some really basic example scenes. And I'll just let everybody know, hey, this is going to be a different type of video just because I got a lot going on. And remember, I'll be live early tomorrow too, by the way. We're going to be live a little bit earlier. Because I want to do that Pokemon Go Spotlight Hour for Delibird. Get the extra Stardust. That's going to be from 6 to 7. So I'll probably go live tomorrow around 2. Like maybe 1 or 2 or something. Let's play Mecha again soon. Well, I really want to play Pokopia tomorrow, if we can. So we might play Pokopia tomorrow, actually. I missed that game so much, and they just had a big update today. You guys cool for Pokopia? Maybe we start with Dreamlight Valley and then we switch to Pokopia. If you've never seen me play Pokopia, I have a really beautiful build. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Jennifer said I've never played, but for watching. If you were ever into like Animal Crossing, it's like Animal Crossing plus Minecraft. It's so good. You shut your dirty mouth, Ashley. You shut your dirty, stinky, stupid mouth right now. Pokopia does not suck. It's one of the best games ever. I mean, I said your Pokopia builds are insane. Yeah, if you want to see my Pokopia content, go to my YouTube channel and look at my YouTube shorts. Or go to my TikTok and watch my TikTok. You can watch either one. But yeah, if you want to check it out before the stream tomorrow. But yeah, we might start with Dreamlight Valley, and then we'll do that. Anyway, thank you again, you guys. Thank you again. Amazing stream today. I appreciate it. Great job on your Dream Snaps. I know there were a couple of snaps out there that could have potentially got 4K that ended up falling short, either by just 2,500 or being in the 1,500. My advice would just be to take it as a learning opportunity. Look at what you could do to be even more competitive in the future. And remember to have fun with your snaps. Be very mindful of what villagers you're using, how you're using them, what settings you're using. Again, Plaza and Meadow they're going to give you some of the best grass in the game. A lot of these things can be super helpful. And anytime you fall short of 4K, don't let it make you feel defeated. Sometimes you just get really unlucky and you pop up against really good snaps. But anytime you're not in the 4K range, it's just an opportunity. It's an opportunity to look at what you could have done a little bit differently to help ensure that you can land in there. All right, as always, guys, stay safe, stay awesome, stay healthy. I will catch you guys on the morrow. Have a wonderful evening. Ta-da for now. Bye-bye.